Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the April 17th, 2023 City of Kingston Planning Board meeting. We'll begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, well, a few housekeeping notes. Exits are at either side of the council chambers. If there's a need to exit the building, we'll use the staircase at either side and go out to the outside of the building. We're not going to use the elevator. Bathrooms are to my right. And I ask that if folks have any conversations that need to be held, utilize one of the conference rooms that are at either side of the council chambers as well. I ask that all folks silence their cell phones at this time. Introductions. My name is Wayne Platt. I'm the chairman. We also have Charles Palaco, Robert Jacobson, Matt Gillis, Vince Archer, Sage Newkirk, and Andrew Harris. We also have Suzanne Cahill, who is the planning director, and Kyla Dede, who is the assistant planner. Matt Jankowski is here now. He's the assistant corporation counsel. Item number 1 on the agenda is the adoption of the March 20th, 2023 Planning Board meeting minutes and transcripts. Everybody's had an opportunity to take a look at them. Any deletions or additions, questions? Seeing none, I'll make a motion that we adopt them. Do I have a second? Second by Charles Palaco. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, under public hearings, item number 2 is 55 Hoffman Street, special permit renewal to operate an accessory apartment. Section block and lot is 56.26-10-10. Seeker determination, Zone R1, Ward 5, Doreen Bridge is the applicant owner. Is there anybody besides the applicant owner wishing to speak on item number 2? Okay. Hi, folks. Can you got to turn your microphones on. And then just as close as I'm doing this, these mics are terrible sometimes, so you really got to get up close. Can you introduce yourselves, please, for the record?
I'm Doreen Bridge.
Okay.
This is Colin Reed.
Colin Reed.
Okay, and you can bring these microphones down to you, too. All right, so tell us what your... Okay, the original renewal was in... this is a renewal. The original permit was, this is a one-year thing, right, that they do? Yeah, so it was last year. Are there any changes to the previous?
No, I need just one more month to complete everything. I have 2 debts at the same time, so I kind of put work behind. My husband died, my mom died 2 weeks after. So that's hold up the work. But I need just one more month to complete. The building is almost finished. The plumbing is done.
You're going to have to pull that mic in closer, ma'am.
The plumbing is finished, and the electrical work is already completed, flooring, and it's just some little ends are not supposed to complete. So I'm on completion right now.
Okay. So the current renewal was for 18 months, and staff is comfortable in recommending that we go with another 18-month term for that. Everybody feel good with that? Okay. All right. Anything else, Sue?
No.
Okay. So, let me see. Okay. So under seeker, this is a type 2 action, so no further review of the board is required. At this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 2 for a period of 18 months with all original conditions carried forward. Do I have a second on that? Second by Robert Jacobson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, item number 3 is 135-145 Florence Street, special permit for cellular antennas on the water tower. Section block and lot is 48.74-4-14.200, seeker determination, zone RR, Ward 7, Centerline Communications, in parens, William Hurley is the applicant, City of Kingston is the owner. Is there anybody besides the applicant or owner wishing to speak on item number 3? Okay. I didn't see if anybody else is coming up to the mic. Okay. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
What's that?
Public hearing.
Yeah, that's why I said, is there anybody besides the applicant or owner? Okay. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Kimberly Revak, R-E-V-A-K, from Centerline Communications, representing AT&T.
Okay. So there's going to be some changes on the tower?
Correct. We have to do an antenna change on the existing communication tower or facility that's located on the water tank at the Water Department on Florence Street. Through that process of applying for a building permit, we were advised that the special use permit expired back in 2020. And through COVID and things like that, I'm sure it got lost in the shuffle. So we are here to reapply or reinstate that special use permit or get another one. I'm not sure how you guys consider it, a new one or a reinstated of the old one.
Okay.
And they do have the authority from the water department that was in the application materials, so there's no issue there.
So there's going to be old ones removed, new ones put in, is that?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions? Good.
Well, there are co-hosts on this as well.
No, we're good? Okay. What was the term before? I mean, the reason why it's not a renewal is because it expired, right? Okay. Can we go 5 years?
You've done these type of things for as
5.
long as the lease, come back if they make it larger.
Do you know what the term of your lease is?
Pardon me?
The term of your lease.
They're typically about 45 years.
That's what I.
So I'm
Okay.
not sure how much longer is left, but I certainly could get back to you on that. I'm not sure.
Well, that seems to be a good ballpark, 45 years. So what do you want to go with, folks? You want to do an unlimited unless something?
Yeah, the facility already exists. It's simply just upgrading an antenna that's located on the existing facility.
Yeah.
So through the application process of applying for a building permit to do that antenna swap, we were just notified that we needed to renew or extend or
I think
reestablish
you can
that special use
consider
permit.
it to continue in perpetuity as long as the lease remains active and they make no changes. Any changes would return back to the board for an amendment. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah. So we'll just make it open-ended, all right? And if there's changes that are made in the future you're pulling stuff out, putting new devices in, or ownership changes or the lease changes, then the new people would have to come before the board. So, okay?
Yep.
All right. All that verbiage, that is a motion on, well, I got to do a seeker first, so let's do seeker first. All right, under seeker, this is also a type 2 action, so no further review of the board is required. All right, so at this time, I make a motion that we approve item number 3 in perpetuity. And that is a motion. If things change, come back.
With Board Policy 6, and I would just also add in any contact information be updated if that changes
All
as
right,
well.
I'll add that to the motion as well. Do I have a second on that? Second by Charles Palaco. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, item number 4 is 572 Broadway, special permit to operate a short-term rental. Section block and lot is 56.25-4-15. Seeker determination, Zone C2, mixed-use overlay district, Broadway overlay district. Joe Deegan is the applicant. New Lights on Broadway is the owner. Anybody besides the owner or applicant wishing to speak on item number 4? Nobody's coming. Joe Deegan is here. Welcome. How are you?
How's everybody tonight?
Good.
Good. Thanks for having me.
All right. So what do you got? What do you got going on there?
Like to make the third floor of the building a short-term rental
Okay.
per the application.
And it's a rather big space too, right? It's
It's a 3,200 square foot apartment. It's
Yeah.
kind of big. It's the entire third floor of the building.
okay.
So it's currently all one unit,
Always has been.
always has been, and so it's really, you're not doing any interior modifications, you're basically just changing it to a short-term rental.
Yeah, we, a year ago, filed with the building department. We made some interior renos, we spruced the place up quite a bit, but it's always according to Ed Ford, it was built for the Knights of the Pythians. So that was like a modern day Kiwanis Club or a Rotary Club type thing. And they used to have their public functions in the third floor. That was like a wide open kind of a hall feel. Somebody, some point in time, converted it to an apartment. We bought the building in 2013 and kept it as a single unit, single apartment building.
We're looking at pictures of it right now. Pretty nice. Yeah.
It's huge. Yeah, we put real money in it, and we're excited about it. We think it came out really super cool. Two apartments, a smaller studio and one very large, equally large apartment. Not equally, probably 2,400 square feet.
I just got to remind the board members to turn your mics on with questions, okay? Anything else you got?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, typical conditions, lockbox, noise permit. Joe, who's going to be managing a short-term rental? Is it a company?
woman named Tanya Fitzgerald. I don't know if you know her.
Okay,
She manages 43 units. She has
Okay.
a team of 5.
all right.
She's on it from booking to restocking to laundry to everything.
Can you just provide our office with her contact information?
Sure.
That would be great. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, there may be a Knox box on that building now. I don't know, but,
There is a Knox box. in the
okay,
building.
so that's
Oh,
good.
yeah, absolutely.
And refuse, how is refuse and all that handled? Trash and,
So at the bottom of the stairs of the, second and third floor is a little tiny utility closet, which has a recycle and trash tote. They're taken out, but there's only 3 residential tenants in the building. So that they're stored there temporarily, brought out, and then brought back in. And then People's Inc. is the commercial tenant on the first floor. They have their own totes.
okay. And it's private hauler or city
City.
pickup? City pickup? Okay. You will need to,
Set a term?
the term and the parking. Parking really does not change.
Yeah, and
One unit, one apartment, so it does not change. So
All right.
it's pre-existing.
so do we need to vote on waiving that, or? Okay,
No change.
good. Um, Everything else good? We're going to move on to term? Okay, so a term for the special permit will need to be discussed. Usually, first, this looks immaculate, the first year, the first time somebody asks for a special permit, we give them a one-year term. So that typically, and I think, are we inclined to do that for this?
I personally would extend it out a little bit. I mean, this applicant's been before the board before for numerous properties. They're always kept in good condition. And it was a one-bedroom apartment already, and this building came before the planning board for all the work on the first floor, and we've had no issues.
Thank you.
You want to set no term then, or limit, or is that what you're?
I mean, it's been a one-bedroom, it's going to Airbnb. I mean, I don't see any new intensity with garbage or refuse or anything like that.
Just with short-term rentals, the activity can change week to week, month to month. That's the only reason I would suggest maybe just for the initial term to be a shorter term of the year to see how it goes. And at that point, then I would extend it. I mean, that's my only concern, is that sometimes, you don't know, the tenancies are not stable. They're not constant, long-term tenancies. And so you can have a situation that can be out of control, or it can be managed appropriately. So that would be my only thought there.
Yeah, I just also, I mean, that's always been the board's purview. I just, looking at the applicant that has been before the board before and has a history in the city.
Speak into the mic, please. Thank you.
Are we going with no term, or do you want to set a term?
I think there should be a term, but
Okay. Any discussion on the term? Do a year and then rework it? Is that, okay,
I'm comfortable.
okay. Sounds like 1 year is the initial term then. Anything else? Any questions from the board? Okay. Under seeker, where are we here? Is it? Okay. Where are my notes on that? Okay. Yeah, under seeker, it's a type 2 action, so no further review of the board is required. At this time, I will make a motion that we approve item number 4 for a period of 1 year with board policy 6. Anything else?
19, and submit the management contact information firm to the city planning office, and that if there is a change of ownership, that will return back.
Okay.
I get this emailed to me. These minutes are the to-do list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Matt Gillis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all very, very much.
All right. Okay, item number 5, 241-267 Rear Albany Avenue, special permit renewal to construct and operate a community solar project. Section block and lot is 48.317-1-2. Seeker determination, zone RRR, Ward 2, Radio Kingston is the applicant owner. Is there anybody besides the applicant owner wishing to speak on item number 5? Nobody there. Okay, welcome, fellas. Can you state your names for the record, please?
Scott Dutton, 19 Canfield Street, architect.
Jimmy Buff, Executive Director of Radio Kingston.
All right. Okay, so this is down by the KNY antenna, right? This is down in the lowlands. Any changes with what's going on there?
The solar field is producing electricity, and we use it for backup power for the transmitter in case of emergencies, and we're also giving electricity to about a dozen off-takers, nonprofits in Midtown Kingston.
Okay, good. There's nothing wrong with it. I know there's a lot of pictures here, so I'm just going to make sure. All right, the original approval was in February 2020 for a period of 1 year. The most recent renewal was in March 2022 for 1 year. Are we bound by 1 year on this?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. In perpetuity again? Just let it go? We're going to have a no term on this or what?
There's unlimited.
I'm good with that. How's everybody with that unlimited term? Unless things change, ownership, whatever. Yeah. Okay. That's easy. Anything else?
Term would expire with change of operation, ownership, equipment. Okay.
All right. So this is an unlisted action. Do we need to?
Yes.
Okay.
No, type 2.
Oh, okay.
Type 2.
Scratch that out. Okay, under seeker, this is a type 2, so no further review of the board is required. All right, so at this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 5. Second by Robert Jacobson, with all original conditions carried forward.
Carried forward, and the term now would expire with any change in equipment, operation, expansion, ownership, lease changes, etc.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. You're staying, right? Okay. Okay, item number 6. 693 Broadway, in parens 695, special permit renewal / amendment to the approved site plan to include demolition of the garage building. Section block and lot is 56.92-3-19.100, seeker determinations, Ward 4, Zone C2, Broadway Overlay District, Heritage Area. Radio Kingston is the applicant owner. Anybody besides Radio Kingston wishing to speak at this time? Okay. Welcome. Jimmy Buff and Scott Dutton are here again. So things have changed. You're going to you're going to demolish a building?
Yeah, we're going to create an open space on the corner with a lot of trees, shade, grass. Actually, I think we'll probably be referencing a little bit from the Prince and Grand Street design, maybe some chess tables. And so we're hoping to have a plan before you guys, maybe even next month.
Heritage has already signed off on
Okay.
demolition of the building.
Building on the old garage on
Yes.
the corner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two-bay garage?
Yeah.
Landscape lighting plan.
Got a mural on it?
Yes.
All right, so the only real issue is landscaping and lighting details. And in the past, staff has handled those issues prior. Is that, everybody comfortable with that again? Okay. And I think you guys are comfortable with that as well. Good.
Yes.
All right. Anything else Sue, on this one? Any other questions from the board? All right, under seeker, it's a type 2 action. Again, no further review of the board is required. At this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 6 with board policy 6.
19.
and 19. And staff will be handling the landscape and lighting details. That is a motion. Do I have a second?
Wayne?
Yes.
Question for you. The term for special permit renewal?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Make it longer, if you'd like.
What was the last one?
Is this going to be maintained as a separate property,
No, it's all combined.
Yeah.
combined in with the radio station?
Yep.
Does that have a special permit on it?
This is all one permit.
Correct, but this renewal, what's the?
Yes, it would cover
when's-
that- it would
when's the
cover that
other one
use.
Come due?
This is a renewal.
The whole project. So they're due for the whole project now.
Yeah.
What was that original term?
Three.
Okay. All right, so
Anyway,
how's everybody feel about a 3-year term? The last was 1. Good?
yes.
Yeah. Good with that?
They do a lot of work there, so they'll probably be back before then anyway.
If it's not done in 3 years, I won't be sitting here.
Well, 2 of the buildings are done. The third building should be done here in the next couple of months, and then it's just landscaping from there on out.
Yeah.
So,
All right, 3 years sounds good, right? All right, so again, this was type 2, so no further review of the board is required. And my motion will now include the addition of the 3-year term for the special permit. All right, I have a second on that. Second by Matt Gillis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right, thank you, folks. All right, moving into old business. Item number 7 is 106 West Chestnut Street. It's a special permit renewal to operate a boarding house. Section block and lot is 56.34-11-22. Seeker determination, Zone R1. It's in heritage area, coastal zone, Ward 9, Chestnut Hill, New York, Incorporated is the applicant owner.
He is not here. He was,
I told him 6:30, it's 33.
All right, well, we can go on and just, where do you want to just table for now?
I would just do it. I mean, he was told 6:30. I mean, let's just do it. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
What her recommendation is. So here, you want to sign that first?
Yeah. Well. All right, the applicant is not here, and we do have some things to discuss. We are awaiting some items to be answered before we can make a determination. One of them being the engineer's structural report on the, is that on the fire escape, on the fire escape?
Right.
Yeah.
The board had last month listened to the public comment. You also had the inspection report of the Building Safety Division. That was dated 4/12 of 2023 that we got the actual written report that included certain items. The fire escape repairs needed a follow-up inspection by an engineer. The fire alarm system had to be tested and inspected by a qualified alarm system company. And that report submitted to building safety. There was a bedroom in the basement that could not be used, did not have approval for, and there was a bed that had to be removed from the rear cottage in one of the bedrooms. The follow-up inspection was scheduled for April 26th. Building Safety did an inspection today, earlier. I got an email from the Building Safety Division. All of the items are not completed. So at this time, it's our recommendation that no determination on this application be made this evening until all of the issues are fully addressed to the satisfaction of the city.
I'm good with that. I just have one question about the fire alarm system. That's been installed for quite a long time. It just has never been in operation. Is that correct? Is that?
It's not functional.
All right. Anybody have any comments, questions? What's that? No, you can't. Not at this time, Leo. Okay, sorry. I thought it was Leo. I try to have eyes on the back of my head. So. Yeah. All right. All right. So at this time, I'll make a motion that we table item number 7 until we have sufficient reports and inspections before this board to make a determination.
I would just, there's no other comments from board members, no other questions that you want us to follow up with the applicant on, correct?
The only other one that I would is just the management of this. Is there full-time on site? What's the levels? Because you look at the number of police complaints and all of the issues there, it doesn't seem like there's adequate supervision.
Okay, so there's one person on site, which he stated last month, and there is no requirement in the code in terms of how many management positions need to be in place for any number of people. If you feel that it's not sufficient, so you're feeling that that one person is not sufficient management to, okay,
To manage that number of people in the building.
okay.
And is this getting tabled until the city gets the reports that it needs, rather than, we're not waiting on the owner to address issues? We're waiting until,
Well, there are both. There's the fire alarm system that needs to be taken care of, right? Well, it's all really the owner's
The,
issues, right?
Yeah,
We
so I'm
got
just
the
saying if the
engineering
owner
report that needs to
doesn't-
be done, and to give a favorable inspection report from building safety, they need all of those items, in addition to some other items, taken care of, right?
I would say that the engineer for the fire escape is scheduled to be there on the 25th of April, okay, which is before our next meeting. And that there was a discussion from building safety that the fire alarm system either has to be restored to full working order or it needs to be removed. Or covered over, but I believe that, I don't know what a timetable for that is. So that's a question that I would ask, is that, what is the timetable for that work to be done? So it has, I'll read you what Steve Knox wrote. The code requires that non-required systems, which this is, be maintained, but may also be removed or have no visible signs of the installed system. The pull stations and strobes will temporarily be covered until Fisher Alarm restores the system to full working order. It's not a required, that, according to Steve, no.
Yeah, I made a motion to table, and second by Robert Jacobson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. I meant no offense to you, by the way. It just sounded like you're back there, so.
He just walked in.
We just tabled.
Well, do you want to bring him up and just explain that you tabled it?
Good. All right, let the record show that Mr. Sanji is here now for 106 West Chestnut Street. We were awaiting your arrival, and there are, just to let you know, there are still some issues that need to be taken care of that we can't make a decision tonight on whether to renew or not. We have the engineer's report on the fire escape. We had, no, you gotta turn your mic on too. The fire alarm system needs to be covered over. I know that you've got that scheduled to be done too, right? You've got that. And Mr. Steinmeier is supposed to do a inspection on the. Yeah.
No, it's in the process of being turned on. It's just not
Do you have a time
complete.
frame?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a time frame for that?
Not at the moment.
Okay, can you get one for us? Can you ask Fisher submit something that I'm assuming you're going with Fisher Alarm, right? That's what Steve Knox told us. Okay, so if he can provide the board with a statement as to when it will be fully operational, or that would be great.
Now, this is something that's not required of me to
Oh, I know, but if it's installed and there are elements like we got a pull station over here, right?
Who are you? Who are you? Who is this? This is my biggest concern with your property is this fire. Well, identify yourself. How rude. How rude of you. What's his
Joe,
name?
he's the Assistant Corporation Counsel, okay?
To me.
There are some issues that need to be taken care of, and we voted to table until next month so you can address those issues. You'll get a laundry list of items, from planning that need to be addressed, and then you can show up next month and hopefully so those things will be addressed, okay? But this is Matt Jankowski. He's our Assistant Corporation Counsel, okay? I didn't think he was raising his voice, but that's his job here. He provides us with counsel for our operation here, so that's what he does, okay? Yeah, all right? But we voted to table, so our business with you tonight is concluded, all right? And we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, moving on in old business, item number 8 is 9 Prince Street, site plan to construct an additional, Andrew, you want to shut that door? Please. Okay, 9 Prince Street, site plan to construct 8 additional units on a multifamily property. Section block and lot is 56.26-6-11. Seeker determination, Zone 02, Ward 5, CPG Kingston 1, LLC, okay, is the applicant owner. Welcome. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Courtney Green.
All right. Let me get over here. All right, so where are we here, Sue, with this, in this process?
Well, we have the county comments to address, if you want to
Yeah.
start with those. You have
Last month, we went
rec
through
fee.
a lot of the issues, but we had
Right.
to table it to wait.
For the
not last
county?
month,
Okay.
before. Table it.
So we have the rec fee to finalize tonight.
Okay.
We need to look at the county comments. We still do not have the final sign off from our city engineer, but we feel that that could be a condition of final approval if the
Okay.
board would agree. And we checked with the Building Safety Division about the access to the roof being through one of the units, and there is no reason in the code to deny that, so that's not
Good.
an issue, which means that they don't have to put any outside or exterior structure on the building, so that's good for them. I think you've seen all of the visuals. You've seen the site plan. You've seen the landscaping drawings, the lighting plans. We don't have any further questions as far as those aspects of the site plan are concerned. So if you want to start with the county, in your notes, you have the,
We'll go to your, I got to go into these. Yeah, like, flip over one page and then, yeah, you got it? One more? Yeah, okay. All right, there were 3 comments, Sue?
sorry?
3 comments from that were advisory from the county? Okay.
They're advisory only.
Yeah. All right, so the first one is affordable housing. And you have a response to that, I see. This development will be the third of 3 buildings on this single parcel. 2 existing structures have already been renovated for a total of 6 existing and 8 planned units. The requisite affordable housing unit has already been sited in one of the 2 already renovated buildings, which is why it is not reflected in the plan. So this new structure shows that's been taken care of, right? That's sustainability measures. And you're going to be, the applicant will be using heat pumps and LED lighting. They also recommended EV charging stations or the infrastructure to support the development. They said that it should be incorporated into the plan. And the applicant's response is, site of future EV charging stations are shown on drawing A-101.1. Future roof solar is shown on drawing A-110.01. So that has been addressed. And again, these are only advisory. Bicycle storage, placement of a single bicycle rack is recommended for inclusion. It should be noted on the site plan, and you have indicated that it is included on drawing A-102.101. So that has been addressed. All right. As far as the engineer's review, it has to do with stormwater, does it?
It's with regards to the stormwater. They also reviewed the site plans, and we've passed on the comments back to the applicant. There were some questions with some of the retaining wall structure, and some other calculations were questioned. So there was an outflow question. There was a question on the actual stormwater device itself that's going to be the storage system underground and the levels. So those, I think, are really technical questions that our engineering
They're working on it,
staff-
they just couldn't turn it around for
Right,
today, so.
that we can address.
On staff level?
There was another site question that we had discussed internally, and I don't think it made it into the notes. On the Foxhall side, there's the fencing on the street. Is there a way to maybe keep the fencing out of, off of the street and just kind of because the building is really an attractive building, and I think when we saw the visuals in the streetscape itself, trying to keep that maybe less of a solid fence, maybe make it a lot more like a split rail or something that just
You could put more
allows
gaps in
it to
it or
look a little bit
something.
more,
The only reason, we took, it used to be fully fenced. We took out a bunch to make those like front entry areas.
Right.
That's the sort of area where it's tough because if a tenant has a pet or something in the front units, I wanted them to have a fenced-in area because it's just a lot easier to have something enclosed where you can put some chairs and this and that and have a little privacy. So we sort of tried to split the difference there by creating those viewpoints where, there's
Yeah.
a gate and you can see right into the front entryways while still keeping something there to give those tenants some feeling of having their own little yard area. Maybe we can work within, the types of fence to have it be more porous or, with more slats in it that you can see through
pictures
better.
up behind you. That's why I'm looking kind
Talking
of
about the
behind.
fencing underneath the balconies there?
Yeah, I mean, maybe then with some added, more added landscaping or something, just to kind of break it up from being a solid, fencing type unit. I keep the, make it more, have more of a streetscape, street presence is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm sure we can come up with something
Okay.
that does that. It's always that line between tenant privacy and a streetscape. And, from my perspective, I care more about the tenants, but from your perspective, you care more about the streetscape. So trying to meet in the middle here.
Yeah, that will be, I'm just writing that down now too. That discussions on landscaping around the fencing area will be handled on staff level.
I mean, personally, I don't have any issue with the fence. I think a little bit of landscaping in front of the fence would soften the fence.
We put some shrubs in front of them, some pretty flowers and we could come up with a landscaping plan too.
And that's something you can discuss at staff level. Yeah. So the engineers report report that we're waiting for, is that something that you're comfortable could be handled on staff level as well?
I mean, they've issued a report in their comments, and we've given them to the applicant, so the applicant is preparing the responses. So I would say that if the engineer signs off and is satisfied with the responses, then we're good to go.
Everybody's good with that? Staff level for that? That way you don't have to come back for another meeting, we'll just have that handled as well, so.
So they should just submit their responses to your office and then we can just go back and forth.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll act as conduit.
And the recreation fee, where in my notes is that? Okay, I see it. Have we received a formal opinion from them? Did they weigh in or no? The Recreation Commission? Do we wait for that, or are we just going to assess one?
We didn't get it into the notes.
Okay.
Yeah, they looked at it. I think they went with the full fee.
Okay. So the Recreation went with a fee of $3,000 per unit for a total of $24,000. That's for 8 additional units. Everybody's good with that? Okay. And these are things you're all familiar with, so, yeah. And those were the only issues that we had outstanding? All right. Anybody have any other questions? Okay. Do we need a Knox box on this, please?
Performance bond with the storm chambers.
And you can discuss that with her at staff level too, right? Or you
Yep.
would- Yeah.
Yeah.
Staff is recommending a performance bond be done with, because of the stormwater chambers, and make sure they're all put in properly. Is that good with that? Okay. And a performance bond is something you can discuss at staff level as well, so.
Okay.
And will John come up with something for that?
We'll work with Larry Paggi to get the cost estimates together with John.
All right. All right, anything else? Okay, looking forward to this thing being built,
Unlisted action.
Me too.
Okay. Okay, so under seeker, this is an unlisted action. I have before me a short environmental assessment form that that staff has indicated is in order. At this time, we'll make a motion that we approve it. Do I have a second? Second by Matt Gillis. All in favor? Wayne Platt is a yes. Charles Palaco? Yes. Robert Jacobson? Matt Gillis? Vince Archer? Okay, that is approved. I'll sign this in a bit, okay? I didn't sign it, okay. So at this time, I will make a motion that we approve item number 8, with the following conditions. Sue's going to go over the conditions of attached to this approval. All right. So you want to, yeah, I said that. We have a motion
Okay.
and a second. Matt Gillis, a second, and we're going to go over the
Okay.
the conditions.
So I have that the board concurs with all of the Ulster County Planning Board advisory comments and agrees with the responses from the applicant that they are sufficient to cover those concerns. That city engineer will have a final sign-off on the stormwater report and all of the other site elements that he has raised comment on. A recreation fee of $24,000 will be remitted. Landscaping will be added in front of the fence along Foxhall, and that will be reviewed with staff. A performance bond will be submitted and reviewed and approved by staff as well. The board policies are 2, 4, 4A, 6, 7, 7A, 12, 14, 18, 18A, 19, 22, 23, 25, and 26. That's it.
Yeah, that might have a Knox box on it already up there. Yeah. Yeah. Well, they can have a central box and then go over the keys for that. Yeah. Yeah. Yep, an appropriately sized box. Okay, so that's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, item number 9 is 25 Dedrick Street. Site plan to renovate an existing building for use as a photography museum, offices, educational center, and commercial arts activities. Section block and lot is 56.25-4-36.100. Seeker determination, Zone C3, Mixed Use Overlay District, Ward 5, Center for Photography at Woodstock is the applicant owner. Welcome. I know Scott Dutton's here. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi there, I'm Nadine Lemon, I'm a board member of CPW.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
If anyone wants paper, I have some. I know you have all the digital. The 2 packets there. Yep.
All right, fire away, please.
Well, naturally, we've been working closely with staff to get this ready for you for tonight. I did receive the county comments, but I'm going to hand it over to Nadine to give the board a brief description of the use.
Hi.
Hi.
I've been very impressed with the process here.
Yeah, bring that mic in close too. There, just pull it right into you. Yeah,
Bring it in.
bring it all the way in.
We moved into town about, I don't even know how long ago, a year ago almost now. And we just purchased this building in February, and we're very excited about it. It's got 40,000 square feet, and we're hoping to turn the bottom 2 floors as a first phase into exhibition space, educational space. We have a digital media lab that would go in there. We have lectures that happen every week. So we've been working with Scott Dutton. He's walked us through the process. We have received some state grants to help us along the way.
Okay.
And the city has supported, they're a supporter of your,
Yes, actually, the city of Kingston put forward the Restore New York grant for us. They're only allowed to put 1 grant forward for that Restore New York program, so we were very happy that they put us forward, and we got it. Shocking.
And are different things going to be happening on different floors? What's the?
yeah, if you think about any arts and cultural institution, museums usually have ancillary functions, in addition to just gallery
Yeah.
space, there are classrooms, workshop spaces, as Nadine said, and, you know, the coffee shop and all of that. So
Okay.
I think this
Good.
is exciting for Kingston to have something this significant right in Midtown.
You know, and with more of these older buildings, you know, being repurposed, it's, I mean, you've done your share of it. It is a welcome sight when these things happen, you know, so we applaud you for that. Yeah.
Great, we love the building.
And you got a good fellow here to help out along the way with that.
Been
So,
astounding.
yeah.
So you have in your packet revised site plan, which is not that different than it is today. Probably the most significant thing is that we're proposing a connection to the adjoining property. We have full support and enthusiasm from the neighbor. I'll follow up with staff for the appropriate easement language to be reviewed there, but a freshen up across the entire site. Exterior improvements will be new windows. There's a proposed lighting plan in here that complies with the city code. Some landscaping, and but the bulk of the capital improvements will take place on the interior. I can address the county comments that yes, we're aware of the stretch code for sure, and shame on me for forgetting to put the EV charging spaces in there, but those will exist in the parking lot close to the building, I would say.
Scott, the lot is currently paved, but your plans show gravel.
Yes. And the reason
See the reverse.
right. The reason for that is that CPW hopes to do a ground source geothermal system there. So that will mean that we'll be punching holes every 25 feet on center in that parking lot. And we don't know yet until certain grants come in whether they'll have the funds to do that in phase one.
Okay.
Or that gets kicked to phase two. So in the event that it gets kicked to phase two, they won't have the resources to drill the wells and to resurface the lot. So it's kind of a safety mechanism. If they end up getting some additional funds prior to us getting a C of O, then naturally we would come back because we will want the lot paved ultimately. But that was a strategic decision to get them up and get a C of O at the earliest possible date.
One of the county comments also talked about the elevator.
Yep.
You just want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I guess Rob missed that there is an accessible route that's shown on the northeast side of the building that will get you to the main level, which does have elevator access to the upper floors. So in phase one, they will be fully accessible.
Thank you.
Okay. So that addresses that one. Okay. I turned you off, by the way, too. Okay. So they're addressing that as well. All right. So the county comments have been addressed. Okay.
I want to just talk a little bit about the cross easements. We had talked about them at staff level with you.
Sure.
And I know that you are also an adjoining property owner, but you also mentioned with the adjacent physical physicians?
Yes. The Motskins, who own the property on Grand Street with the medical office tenants in it, are very enthusiastic about us opening up a connection between the two lots. It's a win-win for both of the properties. It's something Nadine could speak about from her prior experience in the town of Gardner. But the notion is that since their uses, their peak uses happen at opposing times, that there's an opportunity if there needs to be overflow during the day at the medical office building, which I have to say, to date, they have never needed, but who knows in the future, that they could avail themselves of the additional parking spaces in CPW's lot. Conversely, when there's an opening and you have a peak of event where there might be 100 people, that they can park in the medical office building and have a clear line of access to the CPW building. When I purchased our building and the former owners, NNS Supply, purchased this property back in the year 2000, we created a series of reciprocal cross easements so that tractor trailers could come down Diedrich Street, go through the 25 Diedrich Street lot, out through my parking lot to get back out to Diedrich, and then there are some other easements that are all baked in there.
Are these all handshake agreements type
No,
thing?
these are, myself, NNS Supply, and Sunshine Teas all shared the cost of the survey work, and Bernier and Larios did all of that work. Bernier and Larios is doing the work for CPW, so we'll have Mike Moriello create a new easement with the Motskins, but this is just a continuation of good neighbor policy and getting it documented on file so that traffic movements benefit everyone. You know, the UPS drivers, the FedEx drivers, to make things run as smoothly as possible.
Good.
Do you want to just talk about signage a little bit? Just go over what the signage plan is. And we do know that there's a sign painted on the side of the building now. It's like a historic type sign. We
Yep.
want to obviously preserve that. I know that you're putting a monument sign in. I don't know if there's any other signage other than maybe some circulation, maybe a directory sign, which might be inside the building itself.
At this point, we haven't spent any time talking about signage other than identifying the obvious place for the monument sign. So if there's anything that comes up in the next couple of months, I'd say more than happy to come back. Would naturally come meet with you first, but we don't have a branding
Right.
sign
I
in
mean, I would like
place.
to ask the
Yeah,
board
right.
maybe to allow staff to review the signage, if the monument sign, any other signs we can bring back.
We are in the process of possibly changing our name from Center of Photography of Woodstock to something else, Kingston related perhaps. So that might be some of the delay with coming up with the actual signage. Maybe I should have asked this beforehand. We have with our other building put up kind of temporary banner signage so that people can see what exhibitions are happening. Is that something that we put on the table now, or we come back to you
Yeah,
later?
that's normal and customary for museums. I think we should put a package together, present it to Sue and Kyla. If they're comfortable, then they have the board's approval at staff level. If they feel that the board should review it, then we'll just come back for another meeting. But I don't
Yeah.
think we have enough
I
information
think
yet
that's fine.
to.
Okay.
We did have a comment on the landscape plan. There's a call to use some maples, I believe. We are right now discouraging, the tree commission is discouraging the maples due to overpopulation as far as our inventory showed. So we'd like to maybe look at some other species with you to suggest some other
Yeah,
types
we're
of.
totally
yeah.
open.
Okay.
We don't have a landscape advocate on our board, so if someone wants to give us good guidance, we're welcome to.
Okay. Board questions, comments?
With the stormwater.
I can
because
speak to
you're
that.
What's that?
I can speak to that.
You're going with a we go with gravel first, right? And then, so, yeah, yes, how are you going to manage
Right,
that?
so Dennis Larios, as I said, will be the civil on this. We're really close to being a reduction in impervious. So he will provide the technical information, whether it means a small infiltrator or a couple of dry wells. But he said it's not going to be much because the pre and post are so negligible. And they're swamped right now, but I would say that I would request that we submit that to staff and engineering. And again, if they feel that it needs to come back to the board, then naturally we will.
We've been throwing stuff back to staff tonight with stormwater and engineering things anyway tonight. That's one of the things that they can handle too. Everybody's comfortable with that? Yeah. Yeah.
I can tell you from firsthand experience, living right next door, it's nothing but pure mason sand for 60 feet. And even in the peak torrential events, 15 minutes later, with a couple of dry wells, it's gone. So we're not concerned about being able to address it.
One last comment from me, and then I'll kind of be quiet. But the building is obviously an older industrial type building. It's a very common type building in Kingston, attractive. Any thoughts, if you want to share with the board, about the historic preservation, if you're going to be looking at that potentially down the road, either to get the property listed? It certainly has eligibility, I think. And, I don't know what your plans are, so maybe you can just talk about that.
I can take it a little bit. I've been in contact with SHPO. As part of this Restore New York, we do have to get sign off from the State Historic Preservation Office. We did, in the beginning, pursue the possibility of historic tax credits, but because we wanted to move into it and do it in a phased manner, this renovation, it was not legally feasible to go down that road. But yes, I just did contact Terrell about the possibility of getting it listed, because there is another nice state grant that I'd like to chase that requires it.
Good.
So it's on our list.
So we have a letter from SHPO confirming that it is eligible.
And I can send that to you, that it's both eligible and there's no impact for what we're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
So any renovations you're going to be doing in the initial stages here are not going to, you're going to be cognizant about
Absolutely.
not disturbing any details that might affect.
Right,
The
right,
eligibility.
right.
Yeah. Replacing them.
Robert, I need you to speak up into the.
I just asked about windows, but what, are we just replacing first and second floor or
All of them.
first phase?
If there's
If we
enough-
get the grant. We find out in a couple of weeks if we get a grant. We do have an awful lot of fundraising that we need to do. I mean, we're a small organization and we have just caught a very big building. So I can't promise you it's going to happen right away that the windows get changed or that these changes move quickly, but we're going to make an attempt. The grant that we've applied for is with the New York State Council for the Arts, and they would pay for half of it. So we have an estimate of $1.3 million to
And we
replace all windows.
We prepared a preliminary bid package, 4 months ago maybe, and went out to a couple of contractors to get quotes, worked with Harbrook up in Albany that I work with frequently to put a real window package together so that we have a sense of what the costs are, but it's roughly $750,000.
So with this first phase, I guess the question is, are we doing it all or nothing? Or are we doing like first, second floor and not the third? Like, I don't want to end up with a building that's mixed matched.
If we get this grant, it pays for, it's for all of the windows. So there's 188 windows and maybe a door or two.
If we don't get the grant, what are we doing with the first and second floor?
We're not going to do the windows until we apply the
Do the
next year
windows.
for the next year grant. New York State Council of the Arts has a good pot of money for capital improvements for museums.
And I guess as a board member, my biggest concern is, like, I kind of want to see all or nothing. I don't want to see
Half.
partial.
Okay, noted.
How the other board members feel about that, but it's kind of, like, I'm okay with putting it into phase 2, but I don't want to end up seeing a building that looks new on the bottom and looks old on the top. I don't know.
No, that makes sense, you know?
For us too, to do it all at once.
Yeah, I just, That's my only concern is the long-term effect. If the second floor get done and we never get to the rest,
Fair enough. Yeah.
Sidewalks, you got, I mean, I don't even know what is there blacktop there now? Is that what it is?
There's sidewalks. It's missing one bit I noticed between, if you come out of the parking lot to the left going towards the medical building, it's missing a little bit there.
What's it look like along Canfield Street too there? Or that's another property over
There
there
are some
too.
photographs in that package you can see.
no sidewalk, it's all curb.
No,
It's too narrow, I think, for sidewalks.
it is too narrow.
Yeah, it looks, I'm looking at this visual right here. Is it really?
It's interesting, Canfield Street actually could be wider. If you look at the survey map, the property line for Sunshine Teas is basically the building line. So, but there is a grass strip and a curb between Sunshine Teas and where Canfield Street starts. So as long as I've been there, which is since 23 years, you have parallel parking facing south, if you will, in Canfield Street. And it just kind of works, even though it's not a full 2-lane width, because you have on the other side of Sunshine Teas, our drive lane.
Yeah.
And it's,
So there's probably not even a need for a sidewalk on that.
No.
What's it look like in front of the building? Man, I'm looking here. You're gonna,
It's got a full sidewalk.
okay,
Yeah, one little section.
all right. Is all the ivy coming down too?
We've had one architect say yes and one architect say no, and we haven't really tackled that. I think nostalgically, we like the ivy, but we
Okay.
understand that it can have its issues.
I'm not going to ask any architects to weigh in on that right now, so, all right. All right. Any other questions from the board? All right, so we have some items that can be taken care of on staff level, right? And we've got enough questions answered. I think we can move for an approval tonight with conditions. Does staff agree with that? Board agree with that? Okay. Okay, so let's do seeker first. I should really have these things stapled. All right, so under seeker, this is a type 2. Is that, I'm reading that correctly? Okay, so no further review is required here. We're just getting our conditions together here. All right, so at this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 9, and Sue's going to go over the conditions.
Recognizing that the statements and responses to the Ulster County Planning Board satisfy the comments that were made by that agency. Stormwater will be submitted to staff for review and also sign off by the city engineer. Cross easements between adjoining properties for parking, access, etc., will be submitted to staff for review and approval. Signage will be submitted to staff for review and approval, and the landscaping will get a final sign-off with staff as well. Board policies 4, 4A, 5, 6, 12, 14, 19, 24, 25, and 26 are applied.
So that is a motion. Do I have a second on that? Second by Matt Gillis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
thank you.
Good luck. Thank you.
Very exciting.
All right, we are too.
Get some more here.
Bye-bye.
Meeting?
Okay, item number 10 is 59 Pearl Street, in parens 236 Wall Street. Site plan amendment to establish event space. Section block and lot is 56.91-3-1, secret determination, Zone 02. It's in Heritage Area. Ward 2, Kingston Ops 2, LLC is the applicant owner. Scott Dutton is here representing the owner.
Yep.
All right, so this is the old,
St. Joseph School.
yeah. And you've been here to discuss some other, on different floors that have been presented. Now, we're talking about which floor now?
Yep, the lower floors were approved some time ago. We talked about the third floor in the previous approval, and the owner needed to develop a management plan. We submitted that to staff. Went back and forth on that a little bit, and I think that that's been addressed.
And this was the gymnasium part, right? This is the old gymnasium?
Yes.
Okay.
And they did plays and performances there, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's a room not as opulent as this, but very high ceilings, huge tin crown molding, it's intact.
And any parking associated with this is going to be handled at the Lucas Avenue site? That's the plan?
There are just a handful of spots on this property.
Yeah.
But 16 Lucas will be the repository.
And that's been working well system-wide for, so far, it's good?
So far, I mean,
Yeah.
you can drive by there, there are always tons of spaces
Yeah.
available. They're just, the tenants in that building don't really use that much of the lot.
I think what Wayne was asking, Scott, is how it's working with the boutique hotels right now, because they're utilizing it with valet parking.
Right. I haven't heard any complaints, and I'm actively.
I haven't either, so
involved
I'm
with-
just,
I mean,
yeah.
Charles Blakeman and I rarely go a day without talking to one another. And when something comes up, he calls me and says, we need to address it. But in addition to 16 Lucas, he rents other lots around, and
Yeah.
it seems to be working.
Okay.
I think the need for 16 Lucas is really going to come into play when you have a wedding or bar mitzvah, and you have a peak number of people that are there for 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's when they'll need to.
What's the maximum occupancy of that space?
Good question. And it depends on the type of seating arrangement. For
Okay.
tables and chairs, you use 15 square feet per person. The floor plate is 5,200 square feet. Then you take out all the other stuff. You got about 3,000 square feet there. So divide that by 15, and that's your theoretical occupant load. Have to get the calculator out. But it's a couple hundred people. you
Okay.
know? And that code number of 15 square feet per person, as Wayne will remember from his days in the fire department, if you pack people in at 15 square feet per person, they're not very happy. So
Yeah.
it's more like 25 to 30 people.
Because, I mean, I was just thinking, it says the maximum occupancy is of 500, but that's for
That's because
an
it-
unseated event, so that would be. you know,
Right. Take
okay.
a room like this, and let's say there was a wedding there. Maybe 2/3 of the room might be for tables and chairs, and then we have to calculate the area where there might be dancing at 7 square feet per person. So
Right,
sort of a juggling act there.
seems like a lot of people.
I can't imagine there ever being an event with
Yeah.
that many people at it. But it's a room that's pretty comparable to the room we're in right now.
Yeah.
And I think when you get to, yeah, about 200 people, you're probably as packed in as you would want to be for
Right.
a fee-for-service event, you know?
Are you doing anything internally for noise mitigation, just to, like, just if you get that many people in a room, it's,
Absolutely. We have an acoustician, Kavanaugh Tachi, an acoustical engineer that we've worked with on a number of projects to make sure that there's comfort inside, but also that we don't violate the city's noise ordinance and start getting complaints off property. So yes, we are addressing acoustics.
okay.
And the applicant is aware that the city has a noise ordinance and there are certain hours and decibel ratings that have to fall within.
Right now, we don't see any, like, kitchen or any other type of additional facilities being added in this space. Is that something down the road, or just it'll be catered out, and if they do have food?
Charles is interested in having a small warming kitchen in there, but we don't have a fully baked plan for an independent standalone health department approved kitchen. He has the kitchen at the Kinsley, but when you have an event, typically food is brought in from off-site. They bring it in warming boxes, wheel it into a room, plug it in. You've got a sink, place to break things down and do final finishing. So that will be a part of the plan. It just hasn't been located in the
Right.
in the building yet.
I know that the HAC and the HLPC just recently reviewed this and authorized the installation of multiple exterior condensing units,
Yep.
for the mini splits. Any other HVAC upgrades that you
No,
foresee?
That'll take care of that.
Okay.
And we recognize that if there was ever a hood to be installed, that we would have to come back to one of those agencies
Right.
for that, or have what we have in a project up in Boyceville, which is a fully internal Ansel system with a recirc. I mean, they're very expensive, but we have done them before so that you don't have any appurtenances on the exterior.
Yep.
They run about twice.
That's a bread alone?
Yeah, at Bread Alone, we needed to do one of those. And that's so that we didn't get other uses on the roof.
They've already incorporated stuff into their management plan. That's good.
Board have any questions for Scott?
Good. All right.
This is going to be managed by Kingsley Hotel
Yep.
Management, so it'll all be within that
Yes.
umbrella.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's meant to obviously to support the hotel. You can book more rooms and get your occupancy rate up if you have this type of amenity to offer. But it's not exclusive to the hotel, but it's be managed by the same group.
Good. All right. Under seeker, this is an unlisted action. Am I reading that right?
You might be
We're going with type two.
We're doing the size of it and
Yeah.
historic building. We're doing historic tax credits,
So type two?
I believe.
Okay, so no further review of the board is required. This time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 10. And she's working again on with the following conditions.
Okay, board policies 6, 12, 19, 23, 25, and 26, that the board approves the management plan as outlined in your staff notes, unless I didn't hear any questions on that. And
I
that,
did make mention of it, though, in here. that-
and the parking is also mentioned in there, but that it is at 16 Lucas.
Okay, that is a motion. Do I have a second? Charles Palaco with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Scott.
See you next month.
Okay. All right, item number 11.
We're gonna pass over
Okay.
this one.
Number 12.
Said in an email. Yeah, 11 and 12.
So,
We'll go to number 13. They are here.
11 and 12, are they coming tonight?
They said in,
Okay. Okay. All right. New business, item number 13, 18 West Union Street is a site plan to construct a residential addition, add second story, and to create a second residential unit in the basement. Section block and lot is 56.43-3-19.100, seeker, type 2, Ward 8, Zone RT. It's in heritage area. It's also in the Rondout Historic District, coastal zone. And Hudson Valley Architecture LLC is the applicant. John Stewart is the owner. Welcome, fellas. Can you state your names to the record, please?
Yes, Scott Rober, architect.
John Stewart, owner.
Okay. All right, so you've already gotten some approvals from Landmarks and Heritage?
Parks and Heritage have
Heritage,
already
okay.
given approvals on this.
Okay, good. Tell us what you want to do. We got some pictures up behind us here we're looking at too, so.
So you can see the lowest picture is what's existing right now.
Okay.
It's a one-story, one-bedroom house with an enclosed porch. We're looking to remove the porch and extend the house, basically rebuilding it, I believe, a foot deeper than the existing porch is now, and replace the roof with a new steeper roof with a second floor. So the image above is what it will be.
Okay,
And then
that looks nice.
So
in the basement, we're looking to put a one-bedroom apartment.
And that's on the backside here?
That's on the backside.
Okay, okay.
It's a walkout basement on the backside, and we're adding additional windows down in the lower in the basement for that apartment.
Good.
Part of the work that the property owner has already done along Post Street has been to really clear away a lot of the old scrub landscaping that had been overgrown. And he revealed an older stone wall and retaining wall, but that was in poor condition. So that is being rebuilt, and it's being done really very nicely. If anybody has a chance, I'd recommend going down there and taking a look at it, but it's being done in a tiered fashion. Kyla has a picture up there showing a portion of some of the work that's getting done. And it's with a concrete back poured in place, and then it's being set in front with some bluestone. So it's nice. It offers an opportunity for some nice landscaping to be added in to soften. Obviously, it's a lot of stone, but it's a high, the elevation of the property from, I don't know, a Beal to the grade. What would you say? It's a good 20
From a Beale Street,
20
maybe, yeah.
feet at least. Yeah.
You don't even really know it's there. I mean, looking at this picture.
In a lot of the older images, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you see there, the backside, that's the backside. The red on the top is the backside of the building right now.
Okay.
And that will have a small deck off of it. Otherwise, it's going to be redone with a hardy board exterior, and a second story will get added.
And there's adequate parking for the 3.5 that are required?
He's got a, yeah, he's got a small space right off of West Union. I don't think parking. Can you just talk about stormwater, like how you are going to be addressing the stormwater on site?
During construction
Yeah,
or
how are you, like, well, not so much during construction, but how is it going to be, is it going to be collected by roof gutters and leaders, and where is it going to be directed to? I mean, you have some landscaping in your tiered areas, maybe some of it can be directed there to provide some,
Speak to this better than I can because I'm not a landscaper or an architect, but it struck me that quite a bit of the water will be going down those tiers. But I thought, that, oh, it's not up there, but the side of the roof that faces Abil, the water could be guttered off to the side in between the two properties, brought out front, and like a French drain or some underground
right,
drain
okay,
down the driveway, because there is a sewer on Union Street at the corner of Union and Post. So I'd like to divide the water as much as I can from the tiered.
right. And the French drain will certainly help as well because,
Take half of the water out
right,
down to
okay.
the other. That was my notion. I don't know if that's.
sure.
Okay, we're going to want to see the final drainage plan and how it's laid out, and want to run that through our engineering office. Technically, you're not supposed to be putting any stormwater off of your site with new construction. It all has to be kept on site and handled, to the best of your ability. So there's some different ways you can do it, but I think you've got plenty of open area that you can direct it to, like you're saying, with some drainage. It would be nice, I mean, to be able to, use that storm water for a positive way,
Yeah, I think
in
a
a
lot of
positive
that
way.
water can be
Yeah.
used on site.
Yeah, that wall project is sort of like, it looks a little bit like something in Bavaria, some craggy thing going up. And when you mentioned last time we were here about plants, I thought, well, that's this whole separate project.
Right.
And the whole landscaping of the area, because I did the lot line deletion, so it's really a big piece of property.
Yeah.
And the livability of the area around the house is like, we're going to require its whole, landscaper and plant expert person, and where the sunlight is and isn't, and all the drain, all the waterways, and this is going to be its whole separate project. So.
What's your time schedule on this? It's a pretty a big project. I'm just curious.
Well, once we get approval, we're going to get estimates, and at that point, probably start midsummer, late summer
Okay.
plan.
Construction
Process, it
time
should
period.
take about 9 months to a year.
9 months to a year. Okay. I don't, unless board does.
Parking, they can stack their cars in there, right? They got enough room for that.
Any questions from board members on this? Thoughts, comments?
Turn your,
You're going to look at that wall, and the structure's coming along nice. Like you said, it's pretty high, but the people across the street that built there, Jack and Tibby Weeks.
Oh, you know them.
I visited the street quite a bit, so.
Certainly tiering
Yeah, it's nice.
the wall actually makes it less imposing at the street side.
Nice job.
Well, the three walls intersect with there's a gigantic Abil facing wall.
Yes.
And it was all crumbled.
Right.
In fact, when I bought the place, I put on all this gear and climbed into all the brush to see, okay, this has to be repaired. But those three walls intersect with the perpendicular wall in a way I think is really interesting.
Very nice, yeah.
Hey, Vince, you ready to vote?
All right.
Yep.
Any other questions? All right, so under seeker, this is a type 2 action, no further review of the board is required. At this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 13 with the following conditions.
Board policies 6, 12, 19, 25, and 26. We're just recognizing that we're approving this new construction with a second residential unit in the basement area. And then final stormwater plan and landscaping plans will be submitted to staff for review and approval.
Okay, there's a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Vince Archer. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, gentlemen. Are 11 and 12 here? Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we're going to go back to old business right now. Item 11, well, we'll have both 11 and 12. Yeah, item 11 is, and 12 are 455 Albany Avenue and 96-100 Manor Place. Item 11 is a lot line deletion of the lands of Efren Lima. Section block and lot is 48.73-4-31 and 48.73-4-35.100. Seeker determination, Zone C3, Ward 6, Efren Lima is the applicant owner. And item 12 is a site plan to construct a new 40-foot by 52-foot metal building, landscaping and site improvements. Section block and lot is 48.73-4-32.100 and 48.73-4-31 and 48.73-4-35.100. Seeker determination on that as well. Zone C3, Ward 6, Efren Lima is the applicant owner. Hi, Andrew. I know your name. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Sonia.
Okay, nice to see you, Sonia. Okay.
We have our client, the owner, Efren
All right.
Lima.
And
Thank you.
I congratulate this board, you're moving fast.
Yeah.
Be 11 and
Well,
12.
now you've just jinxed it. That's great, you know?
I was going to show up at 9.
All right. All right. So let's go with the lot line deletion first. When we do that, what do you? There you go.
So I believe that it went to the Ulster County Planning Board, and they did not have any comments in regards to the lot line deletion.
Not on the lot line,
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that is, in our eyes, pretty straightforward. He would like to combine parcel 2 and 3 and keep parcel 1 separate just because in case he needs to separate his businesses later on.
So we will need the cross easements. Have you given any thought to those yet?
Yes, we spoke after we reviewed the letter from the Ulster County Planning Board today. We are going to include those as part of an easement.
Okay.
So they're going to be sharing access and also parking.
Okay, so those will have to be drafted out and submitted to our Corporation Council for review and approval as well.
Okay.
Would this be a deed attachment or would it be on the drawings?
For what?
The easement and the parking sharing?
Yeah, the easement and the parking, and I guess it would be maintenance as well.
Right.
You know, how that's
And I was
handled.
just saying, usually it's in written part of the deed.
It would have to be, yes, they'd have to be referenced in the deed.
There you go. Because
So
we didn't know we needed-
ultimately, whatever new deeds get filed, we'll have to recognize those.
Okay. We didn't know we needed it on the drawings as well.
Parking, access, and maintenance.
Is that the only issue you got?
Yeah, but I would just wait until we get to let's talk about the site plan because there's still some issues, so.
So are we going to blend these in together, kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
We're going to do a little blending, okay?
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about site plan. as part of this whole package here now. You got a construction of a new building, right? So you want to talk about all that now for what you got?
Yeah, so he would like to propose a 40 by 52 building where he can do repair work. He's planning on using that building for regular cars and smaller trucks. I think I sent some specifications of the type of trucks, which, they're the smaller, they're the medium, that's not the huge ones. He recognizes that there is a residential zone adjacent to his properties, and he would like to respect that, and that's why he proposed to put a fence continuing the one on the adjacent lot. And there was some notes about landscaping. Now, when they take care of the property and when they clean the snow on the street, it's really hard to maintain a nice landscaping on that side because it's so close to the street. So that's something to consider. Other notes were in regards to the access and how safe he could make the site for the use that he's going to have. And the Ulster County Planning Board supported this new curb cut, and we did see a drawing that has a note regarding no curb cut on Roosevelt Avenue, but we couldn't find anything on a deed that would make it to have legal standing. So we couldn't find anything on the zoning code. I don't know if back in 1996 there was some amendment to the zoning code that in reference to that, but couldn't find anything. The new zoning code does require a 50-foot distance from the intersection, which he has. What else? Another note
Just so everybody understands, what Sonia was just talking about is there was a previous subdivision that occurred on this site, and effectively what it was like a land swap. And it gave a triangular piece of an adjoining residential parcel to the front commercial use, and it gave a section of the commercial's property to the back of that residential. So they just swapped land. The planning board, when that was approved, the planning board on that subdivision map, there was a notation made that basically it carried forward any prior covenant and deed restrictions that were with the residential parcel, but it also had a note on the subdivision map that there would be no ingress or egress out to Roosevelt Avenue. So we pulled that map, gave it to Sonia. It was filed with the county. We've talked to our corporation counsel about that. And that is something I believe we need to enforce unless there is a change with the subdivision map itself.
Subdivision map, that's a question, because there's nothing on the deeds themselves.
I realize that.
It's empty, so I don't know how it's enforceable. You got to remember, too, it was one owner that had the whole corner, and they still live in that house. Now, they live in a house that's on a commercial zone, the adjacent to the west. So there's question as to whether it still has relevance. Now, the thing that's most important, more important than that, is safety. How are you going to get out of this lot and head uptown on Albany off of the curb cuts we have without creating a huge problem, especially with the line of cars that go right to McDonald's? So the suggestion to go to Roosevelt makes this actually a possible agenda. So you may want to, I'm not sure where the note came from, what it was for. It was a kind of an internal little thing that was going on with the owners. They were selling to themselves.
Because there is a note on the same map that it has restrictions and it's registered and it's for parcel 4A and parcel 4.
Yeah.
And it calls it parcel 4 as not being commercial, and now it's shown as commercial.
Exactly. So there's a lot of complexity here.
The question is, when does it become arbitrary? When does it have legal standing, and when does it start and when does it stop?
Most importantly, what's the safest thing to do? Cars are leaving this property, and if you'd like them to take their chances on Albany, so be it.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a lot smarter to have a legal curb cut on Roosevelt so people who are heading
Yeah,
left
I mean,
can
there's
get
also a
out.
significant grade change there. When I looked at it, I have gone by it a few times just to check it out. Between Roosevelt Avenue and where the paved area is now, there's not a whole lot of distance, but there's a fairly substantial grade change there as well. And I have a little bit of concern with that
That
as
can be
well.
managed within the property. We have a lot of distance, if you notice in the lot line, or in the plan, there's what, about,
And not only that, but we have extra parking spaces that, like we have 4 extra parking that are not required. So there's definitely a way to manage the slope. And it is not like a 25% slope. It's more like maybe.
So if this curb cut was to be utilized, if it was allowed, when cars come out of this lot, they're not going to disappear into,
they were taking 3 curb cuts into Albany Avenue, and I don't know if you've seen it
I'm just trying to initiate a discussion here.
That's the issue. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I live on Roosevelt Avenue, and Roosevelt Park was part of Roosevelt Realty that had these deed restrictions. Deed restrictions are put in place to keep it residential so that commercial doesn't migrate into a residential neighborhood. This particular subdivision map that you're referring to was between 2 owners or 2 properties, and they deeded a piece over, but it was on the filed map, on the county land records, giving all of the public notice, including your client when they bought, that this deed restriction is there and that there's to be no curb cut to Roosevelt Avenue. I think part of that was because years ago, when this property was going to be redeveloped after Lamoureux sold it, there was a discussion of a drugstore going on the corner, and the residents raised hell because they didn't want all the traffic going out onto Roosevelt Avenue or going into the neighborhood. This particular neighborhood is very sensitive of that because we have Bagnell Motors, which is just up the street, and they had curb cuts into the neighborhood, doing test drives through the neighborhood, and a lot of commercial traffic would pull onto the street, park, unload, and then go into the business. I can tell you, from my point of view, when you're going down Albany Avenue and you're making a right on Roosevelt Avenue, when you make that right, the cars fly right around the corner to get into Roosevelt Avenue because you're trying to get off Albany Avenue so you don't get rear-ended. You don't have a lot of distance here, and now with the new traffic lights that were installed, you have significant stacking of the cars because now on Roosevelt, you used to be able to make a right on red. You no longer can make the right on red, and you're waiting at least primarily what I've seen at the 8, 9 o'clock hour and the 5, 6 o'clock hour, there's about 3 to 4 changes of the lights before the Roosevelt Avenue people can go out.
So a note to that, you live there, and I've driven by, and the owner can attest, and the owner
Only
can
45?
attest that, he's been driving in and out. So what people do is they drive into Roosevelt Avenue from Albany, going out from Tees Parking, and try to maneuver their way around the neighborhood, the residential area, which is what we're trying to avoid, to find a way all the way around into Albany Avenue again. So
this is no different than McDonald's. I mean, there's certain businesses along Albany Avenue, you just can't make left turns because of the traffic patterns. You have to go right and.
Right, and McDonald's does have a curb cut on the side, and I looked at Quick Check.
Their curb cut is stacked back, and so is Quick Check. They're very deep to allow stacking for the people that are at the lights.
So it is allowed, and the zoning code also has a distance, a specific distance.
McDonald's also is
from the
Roosevelt Park
intersection.
Realty with the deed restriction.
Right.
What do you recommend? Leave the Albany 3 curb cuts?
Successful auto repair shop there for several, that's all it's ever been. There used to be a gas station there.
Before there was this volume, before there was this volume of traffic, I've only
We've
been here
always had
30
the volume of
years,
traffic on-
and I sit on it. I've never had to sit and wait.
Well, that's compliments to the state of New York and the new light that's there.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty unfair to say that the owner knew the restrictions because he actually didn't. And there was a huge issue with the water. There was not even registered. There was not even a key on the sidewalk, and so he didn't know. So it's so I don't think it's fair to say that he was fully aware.
Title search would have shown you that.
Well, here's the main thing. This is what I bring before this board. What is the safest thing to do? It's all about safety. It's lives. It's cars crashing into each other. So if he has, now this is not a high volume business. You thought, last time I was here, you were about stacking cars. If a car goes out once an hour, you've been to a mechanic shop. They do not, there's not like, it's like you have to wait. The volume is considerably slow. And I think that if you think about the safety, to be able, if you want to go left on Albany Avenue out of Roosevelt, you either take your chances with the traffic, you go for it, you gun it, you hope you make it, or you go on Roosevelt and sit. Now, it's not like, there's no stacking.
Efren? Yeah. Does he have an opinion? Is that
I want to ask him about traffic kind of
Oh,
flow,
Efrain, venga.
what numbers he.
And I have a question for our Assistant Corp Counsel here too about, is this a moot point that we're even discussing this curb cut? Is it with the restrictions, where do we stand on even having the ability to authorize it through a site plan? Yeah. Did everybody understand that? We're talking about, I asked if it was a moot point to even discuss allowing traffic to come out through that curb cut onto Roosevelt Avenue. And Matt's opinion is that we honor what the current deed restriction is that was already agreed to with our decision that we make here for that. So that's the city's opinion, that we honor that deed restriction, not allowing traffic to come out there. So we can discuss alternatives. I don't know what there is to.
I wanted to just ask the applicant, the property owner, what kind of numbers do you expect, like in terms of vehicle traffic maneuvers in and out on a hourly basis? Like, how many vehicles do you think are going to be exiting during a heavy peak hours? Do you have numbers?
I don't have any number because I'm there only a couple months.
Okay.
But, we get a car gonna give a service for like 30 minutes, 1 hour, maybe 3 hours, depending.
So maybe one every 30 minutes in and out? Is that as a maximum or?
Hard to know. Every car is different.
Okay.
One car come for inspection, New York State inspection, take me maybe 30 minutes. Maybe other car come for a tune-up, maybe take me 3-4 hours.
Would a lot of people be dropping vehicles off early in the morning and then coming back later to pick them up? Or would they be waiting on site while the vehicle's being serviced?
Yeah, some make appointment. They drop in the morning and pick up by lunchtime.
Okay.
And some people, they come just for inspection, take maybe 15, 30 minutes, depending on the car. And they be gone in 15, 30 minutes from there. Right. But the problem is, I'm going to lose business if we don't open on the side driveway. Why? Because sometimes myself take me 2 red lights, 3 red lights to go out there because there's a lot of traffic. It's 2 blocks sometimes the traffic there.
Right.
If I take 3 lights, that'll be, 10, 15 minutes I have to wait there to go out. I'm gonna lose customers because they're not gonna come to my business for that. Because they have to wait a long time there. If we open on the side, they go out and in, and we don't gonna stop the traffic because we have to stop the two lines, then we can go out to make a right turn.
I'm not trying to get into a legalese thing here, but this is something you probably should have investigated. I don't know if you did before you bought there, you know, that you didn't have access out to that.
Yes, but, you know, I try to do a business, I try to...
I get it. I get it.
You know, we have to find a way to...
And we're trying to make this work. We're not here to prevent this from happening, so.
Because before was fine, but now with the new traffic light there, take longer. They make a big change there.
The big thing here is there was no problem until they did the new light. So that should be taken into account. Is that in the deed restriction, that they changed the lights? No.
Yeah, before was fine, no problem when I was looking at property, but after they changed,
So, I mean, here's what's going to happen. Go ahead.
Question. With the existing building, there are garage doors on the front, so there's it looks like two garage doors on the front, so you have two bays access there. There also seems to be a bay from the side where where the larger parking area is. You use that, is that door used? That's a third bay in the back?
one side and one on the other side.
Okay, all right, so you use all of those bays? Okay. I mean, my thought was maybe thinking about combining all three parcels and maybe adding to the existing structure and maybe creating, and I don't, this might not go over well either, but another thought that we had talked about internally was maybe allowing exiting onto Manor Place as an exit, then coming out to Roosevelt and turning up that way. I think without, and I understand your issue with exiting onto Roosevelt and not, because people I think are going to exit Albany Avenue and they're going to turn and they're going to go down Roosevelt and they're going to meander through. I mean, that's just human nature. I think that's what's going to happen. So I was just trying to think of maybe a way to restructure the site and the plan to see if there's a way we can accommodate it.
We have access to Manor Place as an egress?
Well, by right, we do. I mean, if
I don't know the neighbors are going to like that.
But there's no
very
restriction
important
in the
point, though,
deed.
this deed restriction was put way before this light was put in, or this light was set up. So there was a hardship put on recently that's being ignored. That's very important.
So I think I see your position, and it doesn't seem like it's going to change. What we were trying to avoid is impacting negatively the residential neighborhood, but, if that doesn't have a deed restriction, then they'll be impacted. So, yeah.
A neighbor complained me about one tree in the back, and you think they don't gonna complain me about the traffic? For one tree, they complain me.
Yeah.
I'm not against this project. I'm not. I want you to know that. And this board is not against. We're trying to make this work, and we try to do it. I understand your position about the hardship with the light, everything, but we have a deed restriction in place, and we're being advised by Corp Counsel on the route that we should pursue this. And then let's find an alternative,
What's if someone were just to close Roosevelt, would the deed restriction still comply? There was something done after this 1996 restriction that caused the problem. It used to be not a problem.
I'm not a lawyer, Andrew.
Forever.
I'm not a lawyer.
No. But here's the weird thing. We do know, though, in law, and I do a lot of real estate around the country, that if something changes in the municipality that causes certain deed restrictions not to work, they have to be revisited. But that's what we do elsewhere. I don't know here, but that's just a thought.
Well, I think there are two paths moving forward. It's either, we bring an attorney and try to, validate what has legal standing or not, or we find a solution. The main objective is for him to grow his business, and he has another business down the road, and to have the least negative impact on the neighbors, obviously. But if a paragraph that was written in 1996, based on conditions from 1996, is what has a standing right now, then, I mean, we're here to hear your opinions. And
Okay.
About safety. That's all it is, Wayne.
so yeah, that's basically the bottom line.
Trying to think of some other solutions. I don't know. You know, I was thinking of maybe putting a stop line back further from Roosevelt. That's to allow somebody to exit out of there. I don't know, but that's kind of far back.
I mean, somebody, a customer may have to come out of there, make the right on Manor or Roosevelt, and then find their way back out to Albany Avenue. Not, Manor Place to Manor Avenue to that way. I don't know. I mean,
The idea, if this board is okay with an egress onto Morton Place, well, okay, maybe that can work, but we have to do a whole new thing. But I don't know, Mr. Jacobson, you may know, are they comfortable with cars leaving and trucks leaving on Morton Place? Is it Manor Place? Manor Place?
Manor.
Is there,
Well, there is,
council, is there any restriction to that? Okay.
Turn only, they're not driving, taking rights and going all through the neighborhood, they're just to the left and then coming right back out on the light on Roosevelt.
That is the objective.
we looked and we couldn't
Yeah,
find.
they, on that,
And honestly,
that
the
one
only,
deed, there, we
yeah.
couldn't, she went back. She said she didn't find any.
I couldn't find, and honestly, even the note of the curb cut, I couldn't find it on a deed.
Yeah.
And I found the restriction based on a deed on the same drawing that is referenced to a deed. But, so an arbitrary note, not even referenced to a deed. If it has legal standing here, then
But you say it is on a deed.
no.
Every deed of all the houses in Roosevelt Park have that same restriction on it.
On Roosevelt, not on Manor. Manor doesn't have, at least as far as I
But
know.
the parcel with this property that fronts on Manor Place didn't have a residence on it, right? That was a commercial. I think that was a commercial.
They're all zone commercial.
Well, they're zoned commercial, but I don't know if there was, prior to it being zoned commercial, was there ever a residential use on that property originally? And that's where the Roosevelt Park deed covenants typically come into play. When there were residential homes, those deeds had these covenants put into them.
Yeah, and I looked and looked.
And into it with quick check.
And, yeah, in the Ulster County deed
Right.
search and from Limerow? What, Limerow? Is that the last name? Yeah. They had.
Dick Lamoureux.
Yeah, so they had tons and tons of land around. And then they decided to put their own restrictions on them.
Yeah.
So it's,
Okay. I mean, I didn't go back, I didn't do the search, so, that's the only possibility that it would pop up.
So do they have the ability to go off into Manor Place? If that building wasn't there, like, or repositioned, is there any, there's no restrictions on that?
We don't know of any. We're not aware of any.
So, I mean, Robert suggested a site visit too, but, you have an alternative there. If that's the case, you can go to Manor Place if you want to reposition that building. I don't know if your client wants to do that or not. I don't know the lay of the land. Robert's suggesting a site visit to
He's very upset. No.
Well,
No.
and I really mean it that we want
No,
to
I just
make this
asked,
happen, so, you know.
Efren if he egressed on Morton Place.
Manor Place.
God, I'm the wrong, wait, Kingston? No. So he could possibly make that work, but we'd have to figure out, you're saying add on to the existing building. These are two different businesses.
It was just a thought, trying to utilize the space, because it's kind of an awkward shaped lot, in the back there. It would keep, more of the noise and the commercial activity more towards the Albany Avenue side. It would probably allow you maybe to build up a little bit bigger buffer between the residential and the commercial. But then you could also, because your other side use is that's United Cerebral Palsy, right? Or Ulster Green ARC.
ARC, yeah.
So you've got, so they go basically through to Manor Place too. So I don't know that it would be so horrible and then have a left turn only there to go out to Roosevelt.
Big concern, cars, no problem, but this will have to have small trucks. Now, the trucks will probably have less turnover than the cars by a long shot because they take a long time to work on. So as long as, is there a community organization there we have to
Well, this is,
address?
so this would be an as of right, because, and again, I couldn't find any deed restrictions, and I looked to the best of my abilities. And there is, in the zoning code, there is nothing that says that you cannot make a left or a right turn onto a residential area from a commercial. So in my eyes, it would be an as of right. But again, those are based on what I found on the deeds that I found from the Lemuro family.
And we're not getting any pushback from Corp Council on this, so
Okay.
And
I mean, it would be, some signage, and it could even in a not only left turn only, but, exit for south on Albany Avenue, that
Yeah.
kind of thing, so that you're not encouraging people to go. So they know that if they go out that way, they're really going south, or north, rather, whatever.
the objective is safety. So,
I don't know.
Right,
one way out. No, enter. Exit only.
what if they live in the neighborhood and they want to go to the shop?
and they have
Find their way.
they got to
Find
drive to
their way.
Rhinebeck and then come in, yeah.
Okay. Then there was an issue with the stormwater. If we want to move to the next.
Yeah,
step,
no,
it's-
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
The stormwater, we proposed some catch basins, and then the overflow was going to go into the sewer line on Manor Place. But then we revisited the plan with our engineer, who's Dennis Doyle. He went and Ephraim dug out some holes. He went to see the soil. It's a medium sand, so it's quite good for absorbance. And Dennis said that we could retain the water. We just need to work on the plan. And, we just got the notes today, and we couldn't, and again, we need to figure out the exits, but yeah,
Right.
that's on the works.
Yeah, I mean, did you do soil tests, or what did Dennis do? I saw the email, but I didn't get it earlier, so I only saw it when I got your email before the meeting.
Well, in his,
Doyle knew the area because he's done it, and Dennis Larios did the test.
oh,
and
I'm
we saw
sorry.
him today.
Dennis, did I say Dennis Doyle?
That's all right.
Oh,
Dennis. The two Dennises, they love it. And they did the toilet test, we did the big holes, and they said it's absolutely absorbing. It goes
Okay.
fast.
Yeah. So in Dennis Lario's words, he said, it looks beautiful, whatever that
Okay.
means.
Because DPW, I think I relayed what DPW had told me, that there's catch basins back there, but they're not interconnected. They're standalone catch basins. There's no storm sewer that runs between some of them, and they're not maintained 100%, which is why there's a lot of that backlog.
So, and again, this is just, we just did the test and he just went to see them.
Right.
He said that the stormwater could be retained on site based on the soil conditions that he observed.
Okay.
We'll get
But
you a
we-
formal statement
Yeah, we
from
would,
him.
So you think he's just going to do dry wells on your site?
I believe so, that it
Okay.
would not be absorbent
Okay.
enough.
That should help the storm sewer system not be overloaded.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know when he'll have that done, Sonia?
We're hoping that definitely for the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, because if you can, I'd like to have the city engineer just review Dennis's material before our meeting.
Okay,
That would be
yeah,
helpful.
yep,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah, I did, she did send a note, but yeah, we'll take arrange.
I thought I might have picked it up. Going back to the curb cuts, under one of the required modifications from the Ulster County Planning Board, I just didn't happen to see it on the map. It says they're recommending that the Albany Avenue curb cuts be combined into a single one. Is that the plan? Do you plan on doing that?
Well,
And if not, you're gonna want a
I
explanation.
talked to Efren today, and so the way that he has, and people have been using the current curb cuts actually works really well for them, and especially with the medium trucks that he's going to bring, they're wide enough so that it allows it to come in one way and then do the turn and then come out safely on
Okay.
the other.
in other words, the curb cut closest to the intersection will be closed, which is what the county and I know the city wants. But that the two that are there seem to work well for the traffic in and out that's all heading uptown.
And-
That way they're not running into each
But
other.
have you put that into a formal response to their?
No, I
Okay.
have not. I just
The-
received
We
the letter.
got it about an hour ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
They just got the
That makes sense.
comments
Okay.
today
All right, I
as
just
you
wasn't
did,
sure how
so
fresh these were, so,
They
okay.
did prepare an email response that we got just
Okay.
before the meeting, and we didn't
Okay.
circulate it to board members. It's here.
Yeah, it
You'll
was
get it.
All right.
but it's okay. But we had some other stuff to do.
Okay.
They're landscaping on there too? We got to talk about anything else?
No,
Okay.
table.
Okay.
Board want to do a site visit. We should talk about that. That would be the only thing that we would need to, if you are interested, are board members interested in doing a site visit to this location?
I may.
Hands up if you
I'm-
are.
I
Just
mean,
raise your
I-
hand if you are. Let's see, 1, 2,
I can drive by it individually, on my own, I
okay,
think. and-
all right. So we
so-
will work to schedule a site visit. I'll work through you, Sonia, to do something. Okay, and we'll try and do it quickly so that if there are any issues, you'll have some time to address them. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I think the back and forth was productive tonight, and I still want to, make it clear to your client that we want to do everything we can do to make this thing happen. So I want to make that clear, okay? So let's perhaps we get some homework to do between now and next month, and hopefully we'll have a different tune at the end of next month's meeting, okay? But I appreciate it, so, all right?
Thank you, everyone.
All right. I'm going to table, yeah. So at this time, I will make a motion that we table items 11 and 12. Do I have a second? Second by Matt Gillis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a
Right.
good night.
Item is 14 here?
We're on 14, yeah.
Okay. Item 14 is 560 Albany Avenue. Let me write down the time here. It is a site plan to establish a countertop retail and installation business. Section block and lot is 48.74-1-5.200. Seeker determination zone C3, Ward 6, Carlos Lucas Sanchez is the applicant. Fine Star Realty Holdings LLC is the owner. Welcome. How we doing?
Hi, everybody.
Can you state your names for the record, please?
Yes, I'm Barbara Urrutia. I'm just helping represent him.
Okay.
Carlos Lucas?
Okay. Welcome.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the old Jiffy Lube.
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, tell us, give us what you want to do.
Well, the owner wants to keep everything the way it is, so if we ever leave. So basically, we're gonna not use the downstairs. I think I gave you the filtration system in there. That's the only thing that we're putting down.
When you mean the downstairs, you mean the pit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're gonna just, it's mostly cosmetic. We're just gonna paint, lay a floor, but I don't know if we put it in there. We do have to put a dummy wall up to divide where the showroom will be and where they will fabricate.
Okay.
And we're leaving everything the way it is because he doesn't really want it to be changed.
So, like with the pits, how do you secure those from people? Or what do you do?
They have big grates
Yeah.
downstairs that we're gonna put on there, and then we're gonna cover it with plyboard and stuff, and
Okay.
then, yeah.
Okay.
And the dummy wall is not gonna have any electric, no plumbing, and we could take it down if we leave, because, but there's no structural, there's just that dummy wall and paint and
It's
floors.
just like a petition type
Yeah.
wall, that's a movable petition wall is
Correct.
really kind of
Just
what you're
to
talking about.
separate
Okay.
where they'll fabricate and where, the showroom will be.
All right. So my next question ties into how traffic flows in there, deliveries are made. Do you have access from Rentham Street too? Or do you have a right of way back and behind where it goes?
I've never looked, but there's a big parking lot that the owner also owns behind that we may be renting.
Like behind.
Right behind the
Roberti.
property, yep.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with the roads there.
Okay, I would say no.
But he has a big parking lot behind the property we're renting that we may be able to rent also.
Okay.
So we probably have access to that because he owns it.
How many employees?
Right now, 2. We're hoping,
Okay, all right.
We're
No.
hoping to get it
I mean,
built
I'm
up
just
to
kind
have
of
more.
curious what your parking needs are, because I know that there is a substantial amount of space in the back.
Yeah.
And you're talking also about putting, making some of that some exterior storage area for
Yeah, just to put
product.
slabs over to the left side, but that
Right.
still leaves a good 4 parking spaces, and there's
Okay.
like 4 or 5 in front also. I mean, it's a countertop. You're not going to have like 20 people at once coming in and out,
Right.
so it should be plenty of parking. And again, we may be renting some of the space of the big lot that he has behind there also.
We pulled out the original site plan for the Jiffy Lube, and it appears that the curb cut's been widened extensively, and obviously that's not you that had done that. And so my question is, for the retail space, how many spaces, how many people do you think are going to be realistically coming on a regular basis? Do you really feel you've got like 4 or 5 spaces kind of carved out on your drawing? I don't know that you're going to need that many for
Yeah,
the
we may
retail.
not.
I would think 2 might be sufficient.
Yeah, I hope I use them all, but.
Well, it'd be great. Yeah, I'm not saying that,
Yeah, I'm not really sure,
Yeah.
again, it depends how good your business grows,
Right.
So, but we do have enough parking spaces, but we are going to use some of that to store the big slabs in the back.
Right. Are you going to use those garage doors, for purposes
Maybe just to
of-
bring the slab in and out,
Okay,
because they're tall, so that's what we need, to just bring the slabs in and out as they need them.
okay. So
Then there's-
delivery of slabs, so you get, how frequent would the delivery be? Like once a week, twice a week?
Probably
to
like
get-
once a month, maybe.
Once a month.
We'll probably
Okay.
get bigger deliveries and keep them there.
Okay,
I'm really not sure. It depends, how much business you do,
Right.
how much you have to order, things like that.
okay.
But there's a couple access doors for like customers to come in. They don't have to go in those big garage doors.
Okay. Is this this isn't the business that was operating, like, there was a similar type business a couple doors down?
Caliber?
They have one too.
Okay, so
yeah.
this is not the same
It's
business?
no.
Okay, all right,
Totally
that's what I was
different.
wondering. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Nope, totally different.
Okay.
It's just that I know there's, good business in countertop making.
Mm-hmm.
So we're hoping to, start up a good business in the town.
So the business would be everything, like you would go to the site, you would, a home, say, you would do the measuring,
Exactly.
make the templates, then
Yep.
then actually fabricate or cut the slab at this location, and then do the delivery and installation. So you do it all?
Correct.
Okay, all
Yep.
right.
Yeah, we would go and make the mold for, their
Uh-huh.
kitchen and the customer would pick out what they want for their kitchen, bathroom, outdoor fire pits, things like that. And yeah, we would just do whatever they ask and they would pick out their material and we will cut it and fabricate it, then bring it to their home, install it. Yeah. So we're going to do like a little showroom with, like a little bathroom sink, a kitchen counter, where they could walk through and see what it would look like, some different pieces for them.
Is there any like dust collection?
There is going to be some, but we do use a wet saw, so it's minimal.
Yeah.
And the business you were talking about down the road, they have like 2 setups, I heard. We're going to use 3 filter systems.
Okay.
And we're going to have a professional plumber come in and take care of all that.
You recycle the water?
I'm sorry?
Recycle the water
Yeah,
from
it's
the
going
wet
to like
saw?
filter
It's
through that
filtered?
picture, the three things. Most places only do 2, but we're going to do 3 just to have an extra, just to make sure it's, filtered correctly. But most businesses, they only filter into 2 different ones. But there won't be cutting every day either. A lot of it's you got to polish them, you got to, all that stuff too.
And the noise that's generated from here too, is that an issue? It's going to be, I don't.
I don't think so, because I don't think there's much really that close, and the noise is just a wet saw.
Okay.
That's like the biggest noise you'll have. It's got to be more healthy than an oil business. Oh, but you know what? The owner wanted me to ask too, is if you okay us to change it to that and we leave, can it go back to being an oil business? Because they don't want nothing touched.
But
so.
It'll be like a Jiffy Lube type operation?
I don't know what she's going to
automotive?
do with it, or
Yeah.
he. They just want to know that if you guys okay to change it and we leave and take the wall out and, leave everything the way it is, obviously.
It's already been there zoned for,
If the zoning changes, but I don't know that that's
So
going to
she wants to
change here.
just, or he wants to just make
Yeah, it
sure it
would
goes
depend.
back to
It-
being an
I mean-
oil business if we ever left.
There isn't 100% guarantee, because they could change the law that would not allow that type of use
Okay.
to reestablish. And once a new use takes occupancy, then that use would be allowed to continue. But if the old use wanted to reestablish, if it's not allowed under the code when that time comes, that would not be able to happen.
Okay.
So it's.
But as of right now, I could tell her there's no new laws that could,
Well, there is a new zoning code, so they should check the new zoning code to be sure that the old use could still continue to operate after.
okay.
I don't know off the top of my head.
All right. So yeah, we'll probably paint the outside of the building.
Yeah.
Everything's there. We're not doing anything structural. We're just gonna probably bring an electrician and make sure everything's good. But from what I hear from the realtor is that they already had a phase 1, so everything should be good a while ago.
Well, you
or
will need a
something.
licensed electrician. You'll need
Yeah,
a
we're gonna do
licensed
that.
plumber as
Okay.
well.
Yep.
You should probably talk to the building department soon to find out what the requirements would be. In terms of that plumbing, that would need to get put in place for your filter system?
Yeah, we had them there already. I'm
Okay.
working with, I forgot her name, Jennifer?
Okay,
A lady and a man came.
all right.
Right now, we're deciding what to do. She has to talk to her boss because she said we need an architect, and we're like, for what though? What are they gonna do? We're not doing no structural. There's nothing. She said just because it's changing business. So I told her about the meeting. She goes, oh, you're going there? I said, yeah. She goes, oh, okay.
Probably
So-
maybe because you're going to some light manufacturing, maybe, I don't know.
She just said because it's a New York State thing, if you're changing from one business to another. But the realtor tried to explain too to her that an architect, they're not going to be able to do anything if you're not doing any structural work. It's just all painting and a dummy wall. So really, it's a waste of money. There's nothing they could do. So I'm still waiting to hear
Okay.
back from her.
Well, that would be their
Yeah,
call
she's
if
trying to
they-
talk
if
to
they
her
want
boss, so
something.
we're already at that point. She said she has a list of plumbers and electricians, and we're gonna go with what she wants us to go with.
You're going to reuse the existing sign structure and put a new sign in that? Is
Yeah,
that the
like a wooden
idea?
sign.
Do you have a sign company that you're working with?
Not yet. We wanted to
Okay.
get all this
We'll want
done.
to see the final. Just submit that to staff, I think. If
Okay.
you're using the same physical frame, then, I mean, I think that can come back to staff. But we'll want to see the final mock-up before you
Okay.
get it manufactured. I mean, I would like to limit the parking in the front to 2 spaces and make it so that you can actually see in the picture that Kyla has up where the old curb was, where it's been filled in. I mean, I really think that, you know, it's the time is now to kind of pull that back to what it was approved. We didn't approve that extra wide curb cut. I think channelizing that entryway is important.
How many spaces are you going to require here?
Overall, what was the requirement, Kyla?
Well, it's only one per 300 square feet, right?
It's not a lot.
Consider some of it storage.
So the 5 spaces around the back will be plenty?
Yeah, there's plenty there. Yeah, I don't think parking in the front, I mean, I see why you'd want to put some parking in the front for the retail component. I think that, I understand, and that's why I'm thinking maybe a couple spaces, but I would put them in.
Yeah,
Put
because,
them
you know.
straight up to the building is.
I'm sorry.
I don't think that that's, you know. Well, you can stripe it.
That's what I'm saying. I think it should be striped as parking, because otherwise people are going to be.
And they can park in front of the doors, too. I mean, so they're not going to be, right?
Well, that's
Yeah,
the
because
thing. I mean,
We
you
do
know,
have the extra
obviously,
parking in the back,
the
but if-
site's been modified without planning board approval, and that's and that's on the owner, I get it, but I think that that area should not be allowed for ingress.
Talking out by the curb, though.
Yeah.
I'm talking in front of the doors.
In front of the doors, I don't think the parking, the way it's laid out, I don't think is a suitable.
But I don't understand, what are you going to put there in lieu of it, just pavement?
I would put them, where you come in, I would put them this way. I would just put a couple spaces. I wouldn't fill the whole front with parking.
So instead of 5, you'd have 2.
Yeah.
They have 5 around the back. She's talking about the ones here.
Well, I think the way to resolve this is that, we have a map in our office that is a surveyed map. It was used to do the Jiffy Lube. It has actual measurements. Without that, and use that to draw a parking layout that's suitable. And, that's,
but I'm
you know,
just-
that's the
it's-
type of
I'm
base
just saying the
map that you
practicality is
need. You
Somebody's gonna
can't,
pull in, they're gonna park in front of a garage door.
If it's not striped.
well,
Striped.
if they're striped.
Or they
you're
may not pull there because they're thinking, oh, these are active garage doors too, so.
You can use striping to direct a lot better than nothing.
So you want to leave that up to staff on that? Is everybody comfortable with the parking issue going to staff? Vince, you're good?
It was Jiffy Lube, then it was All Star.
It was part of Bagnell's, oil, yeah. Okay, so we'll leave that at staff for parking. Okay. Well, yeah, we need to have it striped, yeah.
We can, if you want to come in the office, you can get a copy of the map that is an actual survey map, and it shows the building in place, and it shows the ingress and egress, and it's actually to scale. So you'll be able to actually use that to draw a much better layout, all right? And
Okay.
you'll know your space accommodations much better.
So get somebody to just do the lines for the parking of what they're supposed to be?
Right, you can use that, like I
Okay.
said, you use that as your base map, and then
Uh-huh.
you can put the spaces on there more realistically than just kind of squishing them on a drawing.
And staff will work with you on the parking layout,
Okay.
okay?
When you
Yeah, I
drive in
think
for
the
service?
employee parking would all be in the back.
No,
you know,
I'm talking about customers going for service for oil changes. Also went to the back and they drove the cars from the back doors through the front. You go around the back and you
They drove through, right.
go through.
Yep.
So there was really no requirement. They did, when the car was finished, when they did the oil change, they would park it out front, so there was
So
no.
they
no
pulled it
parking.
out, you waited, it was, when it
Yeah,
was
you
an
waited
oil
to-
change
yeah.
business, you just sat there, you waited till your oil change was done, just like they do in
Anywhere.
the Hoffman oil changes now in the car, yeah. And then you get in your car and you drive off.
So there was no real parking in the front,
No.
per se.
You have anything else?
Well, we want to see the signage,
Yep, you mentioned that to
parking
them.
layout. What about garbage? Leftover product, how do you deal with that, like the scrap?
Well, there's a closed-in garbage thing in the back.
Well, then
I
like
don't
the
know what's in-
scrap pieces of
The marble?
marble or whatever, what do you do with those?
The dump? Bigger scraps you keep because, some people want little fireplaces outside, so the scraps hopefully will be minimum. Because,
Yeah,
that's
no,
expensive stuff,
so,
so you
okay, so
save.
the client buys a 8 by 10 piece, I guess. You cut what you need to do for the countertop, and the pieces that are cut out are given, the client can
Yeah,
take
most of the
those
time.
extra. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Most of the time,
That's a
the
good idea.
pieces stay right at their house.
Yeah, okay, no.
I actually had that done a few years back, and I made a table next to my grill out back and a little outdoor bar type thing, because they
Okay.
left me like a little L. So there really won't be much scrap at all.
Yeah.
But if there's going to be a dumpster, they need to put that location on it, right? Say about a dumpster?
It's already in place on the
Okay.
site, but yeah.
Okay.
If we even need a big dumpster, I'm
All
not
right.
even sure. Scrap might be small enough just for like regular cans if they provide them. But there is a closed-in garbage area in the back already, fenced, a little fence.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you be using city pickup?
I
or
haven't
are you
gone that
private?
far. Yeah, I haven't even gone that far with anything
Okay.
yet, because we want to make sure we can even get
Okay.
this first. It's been a few weeks of trying to figure all this out already, so.
You want to check garbage pickup with DPW,
Okay.
okay, to see if they would even do it. They might not even do garbage pickup out that way. You might have to contract with a private hauler for garbage,
Okay.
all right?
Or
So
maybe if we just use a can, because the scraps will probably be small, because most is left at the customer's house. We could even like take the cans ourselves, right?
Yeah.
To the dump, get a permit, something like that.
For landscaping there.
Well, it's up to the board. We made staff note. What do you think? I mean, it has not been kept up. I think now's your opportunity to,
Is there the
Make
old
it-
site plan, did it have it listed, prescribed on there?
I do know there's like a little strip of grass on the left and maybe a little in the back, and the owner already told us we have to mow that and stuff, but that's the only part I saw that I remember.
Well,
it's unfortunate,
yeah.
huh?
So
Well-
when you're discussing the, what are you discussing at staff level with them?
Signage, parking layout right now.
Can,
Trying to figure out the original site plan that you reviewed. Where was the actual landscaping?
Can you speak into it? I'm sorry.
You're referring to the prior site plan. Where was the landscaping? Because this is mostly all asphalt.
between Roberti's and,
There was a row of shrubbery supposed to be going in there, and then in the front and in the back, right?
Probably not, now it's all under the same ownership, so I don't.
It's probably all asphalt now.
Yeah, because I know he owns the big lot in the back too, so I don't know about the side though. But he did tell us we have to mow all that and
maybe
keep
leave that at
that.
staff level too?
Yeah, but I would be thrilled if they just mowed the lawn. I mean, it's been so bad. But I don't know that you really want to put bushes out front or anything, because then you're going to have impediment to sight view getting in at Albany Avenue. I mean, there's just not a lot of room in that median. Other than flowers, I mean, you're going to want to put bushes or trees there?
I'm not in
I
agreement
don't
with
know
having it
that you
out
would
front.
obstruct, I mean, I'm not saying right at the curb. Obviously, there's no sidewalk on that side of the street either in this location, so.
Can we work along the strip here? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, there and in this area here, I think. I mean, you have, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Huh? Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm just, I mean, I would love to see it landscape, but the practicality of it is, I mean, like you look at Hoffman Car Wash, they have a curb, a sidewalk, and then landscaping because they're so far into the property because of all the snow plowing and the traffic. I'm not seeing, I mean, that's, if you put a sidewalk, that entire green space in the front would be the sidewalk. So I'm not sure, like, that any plant, like, is going to survive out there, and I'm not sure that you can put any type of plant above 2 feet off the ground. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but other than ripping up asphalt, I don't know where you're going to put it. What's on the side of the building? Is that asphalt or is that grass back there?
On this side you're looking at, or the other?
Grass.
Yeah, it is. Can't we just mow the grass and keep it neat, or?
Parking lot to Sherman.
Well, what does the board think? What do you think?
Please?
I agree with you. I don't think you want all our plants while you're going on Albany Avenue.
Yeah, it's gonna like block the traffic, and that's not gonna be good either.
I think some bushes along the line there with the
Right between,
Planter boxes in the front of the building. Probably keep people from,
so planter boxes in front of the building. You want some shrubbery along that grass strip right there? Is that what you're talking about too? Between Roberti's and,
Okay.
dealt with on staff level, those
Yeah.
items. I mean, something to soften the front, maybe under like the picture window, a planter box or something, just so it doesn't look so
Okay.
impervious.
does that sound good, Sue?
Fine with me.
Okay. So we have, all right, so you can talk to staff level. They'll work with you on that. They've got an idea.
I'm just saying, I'm also keeping in mind that they're leasing this property,
What?
Yeah, we're just renting it.
renting this property.
No, I know. I understand that.
Could we do without the planter box under the window? Because it's a business, like I don't want to decorate it too much. You know what I mean? We're
Well,
gonna
I
paint
mean,
and
the other
stuff.
alternative is to go full bore with the previously approved site plan, you know? But we're trying to find a middle ground between there.
Okay, all right, we'll
There's
go that
probably
way.
a more robust planting schedule. So,
I would say just leave it at staff
yeah,
level.
we're going to leave it, you can discuss it with them, okay? And then
Okay.
we'll be happy with that.
So that's the other lady, the other application?
What's that?
People that came with me to see it? The other application we put in?
I don't get what you're saying.
I'm sorry?
Work there in the front.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's all your notes, right?
All right. Spent too much time on this.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah, the other, because I did two permits, one for you guys and the other one where they came to like
All
inspect
the
and stuff.
signage of the building.
I was just wondering if that's who he meant I have to talk to. Okay.
And you're gonna take off all the signage off the building too, what's on there right now? Like-
Oh, yeah, 'cause
Okay.
it's not going to be an oil business.
All right, we're gonna make that a condition of approval too.
I'm sorry?
We're gonna make that a condition of approval too. All the signage has to come off, the old signage.
We'll be saving all that for them.
Okay.
They don't want us to, you
All
know.
right. Any other questions from the board? All right. Under seeker, this is a type 2 action, so no further review of the board is required for that. At this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 14, and Sue's going to address the policies and conditions.
Okay. Okay. So I have, that's to parking layout will be reviewed with staff. Signage will come back to staff for review and approval. All existing signs will be removed. Garbage will be by private hauler unless if the city will not pick up. That will be confirmed by the applicant. Landscaping will consist of planter boxes along the front and shrubbery along the sides. Board's policies 6, 12, 19, 25, and 26.
Okay, that is a motion. Do I have a second? A second by Matt Gillis. We did seeker,
did it,
type 2. So Matt Gillis has a second on that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Yeah, so keep in contact with staff and, okay, they'll help
Thank you
you.
guys very much. We're
All right, good
excited.
luck. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, if I'm not around, Kyla is around. Okay?
You too. All right, we finally got to you, huh? All right, number 15, item number 15 is 2 Jansen Avenue, site plan to expand an existing brewery and construct a 2,441 square foot addition. Section block and lot is 56.26-5-32. Seeker determination zone C3, Ward 9, Kingston Standard Brewing Company is the applicant, as Sopas Holdings LLC is the owner. State your name for the record, please.
Tate Simpson.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
All right. So tell us what your plans are here, sir.
Well, we came before the board in July of 2016, prior to purchasing this property, to inquire about the feasibility of operating a brewery on site, and proposed a two-phase operation, whereby the initial phase would be a small pilot system and tasting room. That was approved. And then phase two being a larger scale operation in the 2 Jansen Avenue building. We received, I guess, informal conditional approval under the assumption that we would come back in the future when we were ready to do that and with a new site plan, et cetera. We've been operating since opening in 2019. In that phase one format, and are coming back to you guys now proposing the phase two expansion, whereby we move the production facility into the 2 Jansen Avenue building, renovate and expand on that footprint to accommodate additional support for servicing the retail aspect of the business and the tasting room, as well as expand the distribution wholesale account side of the production.
Okay. Good, you're expanding. That's good. All right, so in the new space here, you're going to have some tours and stuff going through there too? Is that part of the?
If we did, it would be on a very limited scheduled basis,
Okay.
but that's not the primary purpose. I mean, it would be it wouldn't entail any additional traffic to the building, if that's where you're going with it, because anyone taking a tour of the facility would probably also be visiting the tasting room concurrently. So I don't expect we would have much of any additional retail traffic to the 2 Jansen Avenue building. That would be entirely production space. So about 4 to 5, maybe 6 employees maximum.
Yeah. And with the brewing operation currently at 22, right?
Yes.
I think we talked about initially was the amount of, was there any odors coming off of that?
Yep.
We're not getting complaints about that, right? I mean, so with the expansion over to 2 Jansen, is that going to, do you think that's going to remain the same circumstances?
I would think so. I mean, the odors that we're talking about are along the lines of bread baking kind of a thing. So pretty pleasant for the most part.
Okay.
So long as we keep on top of our waste stream. But to date, that hasn't been an issue. So I don't expect we would have any additional concerns.
Okay.
We have pretty good relationships with the neighbors, so.
Have they submitted a floor plan too?
Yeah.
Okay, they have.
Dang, it's like at 11 o'clock and you get the fake char grilled scent, so, yeah. Yep.
Part of our notes here, or floor plan, we need a floor plan submitted?
Right, well, the project itself is fairly, well, entirely dependent upon approved square footage of this addition. So I came to you guys before going down a full architectural path. I have a limited floor plan for the production facility based on this square footage, but I didn't do elevations. I didn't do any other architectural design work because if I have to reduce the square footage of the building, it forces me to reconfigure the entirety of the expansion. So
I think Kyla had contacted you about the variance, that you need a variance for setback requirements.
well, it was my understanding based on the reading of the code that we have this existing building on site that we would be expanding and renovating. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it is in section 405-47C that states that a building which otherwise conforms in use, but doesn't meet requirements outlined in that section, can be altered, enlarged, or rebuilt. And that's the situation where we have a footprint in that space already. There's a
I
loading
would double
bay.
check that with,
I think the variance is for the setback, and I think
Yes, correct. So so what you're saying is this loading bay that is already beyond the setback that exists, we would need a variance in order to renovate that space?
you're actually building a structure.
But if the existing site plan, there is on the site plan that we submitted to you guys, on two sides, there's an existing and a proposed. The existing shows this loading bay, which is an existing structure that goes well beyond the setbacks on the backside of the property. And that's been there since the property was purchased. No, we would only be extending forward towards the street. Yeah.
That's what we were under the impression, that that's the addition.
That's a proposed loading berth, yeah. But are you saying that on the right side of this, is that already there?
Well,
Or
that's the proposed.
a portion of it?
But if you look, do you have the other half of this? Because we submitted this, it has two sides.
Right.
It has,
Okay.
can I come over there?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
show you?
come on over. Yeah.
is, so this is existing. This is that loading bay that is, as you can see, this dotted line
So,
there is the
so,
10-foot
so
setback.
this part is existing right now?
Correct.
And you're going to just bring it out, this is,
Towards the street.
so it's going to be enclosed right here?
Correct.
Right, but I think the setback also is on this side here. I would double check that with with Eric.
My opinion, based on the limited information I've given right now, is that you would still need an area variance, but given that the building already goes to line,
Yep.
extending it should not be part of the requirement.
Sure. Yep. So I have spoken with Eric Kitchen about zoning from the commercial question and our proposed use, et cetera. He declined to give me much information officially beyond a verbal conversation until he was engaged by the board. So do I have permission then to go back to him and say, hey, I'd like to talk about setbacks and get his official weigh in?
Yeah.
Great.
yeah.
Cool.
Planning board, Assistant Corporation Counsel, they all recommended that discuss what would be needed for area variance for the site.
And they may even get
No.
be talking by
That's his
phone.
job.
So, yeah, okay.
Ask him also about dumpster location.
Okay.
Because there is a section in the code where dumpsters are not supposed to be visible from the street.
Right, but enclosures take care of that.
Ask him,
Right.
just get the confirmation
Okay.
from him that if you put an enclosure around it, that he's not going to, he doesn't look at it. That I don't know if he will or not. It's been interpreted both ways.
Okay.
So your reason for delay in the floor plan submission is what? I wasn't,
Well, I mean, I realize that.
Yeah.
Thank you, yeah.
have any issue with the enlargement of the building. It's going to be presumably similar construction, similar look. It's just an extension. I think if he can get, I think if he can get his zoning in place, then I don't see where this, as a member of the board that
Well, I think you're going to want to see final
Oh, absolutely.
building detail.
Yes, but I think he's got to work on his variances first.
Right. I think the other thing to talk about tonight, which is a significant issue, is the city engineer had given a form of layout. I know Kyla had sent that off to you,
Yeah.
and you were going to take a look at it.
Saw
What
that.
are your thoughts on his suggestions?
Well, I'm unclear what the suggestion is because most of it involves the city property, not our property. He's changed
Well,
the,
it's obviously going to change your parking.
well, it
Okay,
certainly would
yeah, I
affect
mean,
that, yeah.
so, I mean, I'd like to, if you're, I mean, we can go back to him and talk about, who builds what, but in terms of the layout, I mean, it reduces the parking
By quite a lot, yes.
significantly.
Certainly.
And I don't know if that's something, that you feel strongly about in opposition to, because I don't know what your needs are there, but I would
Well, I
imagine.
mean, we can utilize as much parking as possible. However, we're, did our site plan with the existing conditions and in mind. If the city has other plans for that strip and Jansen Avenue, then I would love to see those, and then we can figure out how we might modify our site plan. I can tell you I don't really have the inclination or the resources to improve public infrastructure as part of this project.
Right.
So that's,
No, I understand. What about like bike racks and things like that? I mean, I think that it's probably the type of use you have might be something that you'd want to consider adding to your plan.
Certainly.
As an opportunity there would be something else. And the other thing I don't see is, I mean, because of the type of business, do you have any outdoor kind of seating or any plans for anything outdoors?
we do. It's in the, on the proposed section around.
In here? Oh, just this front corner here. Okay.
Yeah, so on the kind of.
The
what is
gravel
this?
patio?
North, southwest,
Yeah.
and eastern side of the building on the street side is, we have a gravel patio on
Okay.
the, what is the southwest corner, and then some
So
seating
you'd be
along the
extending it
front
around the
side.
back?
Correct,
Okay.
yeah.
And you're only abutting a parking lot right there, right? Is there-
Partially, there is the backyard of a property that is actually on Hasbrook.
okay.
In the northwest corner.
All right.
But there's a grade change and a retaining wall between the edge of our property and that.
So they're not
backyard.
really utilizing that anyway.
No, not at all.
But you're not pulling the patio all the way to the back property line?
Right,
Only, looks like halfway, a little over halfway back of the building?
right.
Okay.
This, I'll also point out that this proposed site plan has an addition off the northwest corner of that 22 Jansen Avenue building, whereby we would add a small amount of additional square footage to accommodate an external walk-in cooler and additional bathrooms.
Okay, I didn't catch that. Did you? I didn't catch that with our review, but that would be another question for Eric about a variance for that one as well. Okay.
What are we doing about this?
Well, we'll check with John. I mean, in the meantime, I just wanted to get some feedback from him. John had, given us that as a potential layout, and we wanted to have the applicant have the opportunity to just give feedback on it. I don't know if, the city has plans for Jansen Avenue to do any major reconstruction work at this point. I haven't heard anything.
I had asked around, but I
Yeah.
couldn't come up with anything.
Yeah,
Doesn't seem
no, I don't
as
know
if there's
of
a
any
plan,
other.
not to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what
Yeah.
it is. At Eastchester, right at Eastchester. Still city owned, I guess. So we're gonna be tabling that, right?
Yeah.
Do we have anything else for him tonight?
Nope.
Okay. All right, so any other questions from the board right now? We're gonna be tabling because we got some other stuff to take care of, right? And we'll-
So I just want to not leave him with
No.
hanging. I think generally, we're supportive of the addition. You just have to meet the city's requirements with your variances.
Well, I guess, is it a determination of if we need a variance from Kitchen? Got it.
Once
Yep.
that's determined and given to staff, then I think, we would request full architecture.
Of course. Yeah. As far as our plan for this project, I probably should have outlined this a little bit earlier in the introduction, but we have engaged an engineering firm to do full mechanical, structural, et cetera. We have an architect who has, done the initial site plan drawings and is contracted to do, elevations and all the floor plans, et cetera. But prior to conducting that work, I wanted to ensure that we could accommodate a certain amount of square footage to justify the project itself.
Yeah. All right, thank you, and we'll see you again next month, hopefully. And so at this time, I'll make a motion that we table item number 15. Do I have a second? Second by Robert Jacobson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Actually, before I step away, there wasn't anything other than the variances on the setbacks and the dumpsters that are concerning to the board about the,
No, I mean, and you're going to
What we'll do is send you a copy of our staff notes.
Okay.
All right? Just jot on that staff notes to applicant, so I don't forget. That's my reminder.
sure thing?
does that answer your question?
Well, it does. What I was hoping for out of this evening was at least a path forward, and if that's what it is, then I'm.
I think that
Yeah.
we're on that path.
Great.
All right?
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You guys have a great night.
My back is screaming right now.
Well, we have no applicants, but you can take a walk around if you want and.
Afraid to embarrass myself for trying to get
All
out.
right.
Oh, there's all the cushions under your thigh.
Other businesses have done.
Wood benches are looking good.
Other places, Mariners Harbor does this down there.
You guys don't ask the applicants to do anything.
Oh, I can't blame him at all. I thought the whole suggestion was ridiculous.
All right. We're back online here now. All right, item number,
Where's that decision document?
here.
Still coming.
Item 16, 79, this is bond reduction. 79 Hurley Avenue, request for performance bond reduction number 2. Section block and lot is 48.71-2-11, seeker, type 2, Ward 1, Zone 02. Higginsville Station LLC is the applicant owner. Yes, you signed it. That was the last decision document, right, that came around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Matt Gillis, yes. Harris, yes.
Sage Newkirk, yes.
Joe Walker, yes.
Parking should be included at the village store. Should have a commercial slash shop or along the street. We Plaza, yes.
Robert Jacobson, yes. Matt Gillis, yes. Harris, yes.
Sage Newkirk, yes.
Joe Walker, yes.
Any other comments or suggestions about that before?
My question is the second bullet where we talk about the height of buildings with parking, is that conversation limited to ST waterfront? Or will we also consider that?
That is limited to the waterfront section. That's the way it was discussed.
Because
In the other section.
in the other sections,
not.
it's already included in the height.
The other section. it is
Right.
already-
Yes, the waterfront was the only location where,
That's why it says as is in done, as is done in other
The
transits.
rest of the code covers it.
Mhm.
Moving on to the density. One here is regulating that. The ordinance discussed Washington Avenue as a quote,
Gateway.
gateway. Into the city, all of the area that would stand higher densities. We also developed that maybe a recommendation for increases that there are. And then they also recognize the possibility of not using by providing areas that we suit the development, that it has on the story areas reduced. Look at the increased densities, heights and coverage restricted, line to the sky. Even below that might be a go ahead, we have to start out by the surface street. Is that part of that? This boundary here?
Yeah.
Okay. Also coming in Washington Avenue, is created down, Joint Drive. Early Avenue to, these warranties are going to be illustrated as part of the submission.
Yeah,
Okay.
this would be map unless,
Properties out we're going.
right, this would be the map we would submit.
Right. And, also, go into where First Street ways or Washington all the different so, there would be, agreement with, and use it just for that. Wait, that's.
Yeah.
That was,
Sage Newkirk, yes.
okay, and then second one here is to use it in the T3 entrance to that area. The April 17th. That's Scott Walker. He can be reviewed. The first one is limited up to 2 years maximum, including ADUs. Or second floor of 12A, small less. Only allow 3 units, including the ADUs, or third floor units, that's more of 12A. Small less. Only allow 4 units, including the ADUs, and including the building. So the units, maximum that is less.
Yes, well, yeah, it could be a duplex, could be or over, could be, yeah, I
Or it
mean,
could be a single family home with an ADU.
correct.
Gold Star.
Discussion. Chuck? Do you have, I mean, there are three options for density that were kind of reviewed.
Well, that's your single, that's what we said was our single family.
Yeah.
zones.
I'm in favor of first bullet. I'm in favor of the first also.
So I think this is the favor of the first one. And I think what's for the first one. Sorry.
Sage Newkirk, first bullet.
Chuck Palafel, first bullet. Wayne Platt, first bullet. That have to be limited up to 2 units maximum, including ADUs. Does anyone else have any other questions or additional ones for experience for this one here to say? Okay. The board recognizes the benefit of this new section of the code and finds that the word is thorough, it provides guidance for developers and reviewing. One issue was identified as lacking, and what is, every project with ADUs should have design guidelines that should fit with the character and the architecture of the existing property. When you plan agrees with that. Well,
Can I make a comment to this?
Yeah.
I just, when we say it should,
We really need you to talk because we're only.
when we discuss, we have the character of the neighborhood and the architectural of the existing property, I think it should be the architecture of the existing surrounding properties.
Well, it doesn't, the complex be. The guidelines is going to be established for. Design and energy transact where these things are going. So
They look within so many, the way the architecture is evaluated, you should look within a certain distance
Okay,
in either direction of each.
okay, okay. Yeah, no, then I agree with the board. Robert Jacobson, I agree.
Sage Newkirk, yes.
Any other discussion on architecture? Moving up to use. First one is corner stores. Remove corner stores as allowed to bring one traffic. And we will go to the guidance for course that. Staff by the 80/40. That offers a control substance, but there are alcohol, the cigarettes require a special use permit. They have wanted to clarify that they provided you.
I think also, Kyla, did you say that in the T3?
T3N or T3N and T4N controlled substance sales are not allowed.
Not allowed at all. So they wouldn't be allowed. And then we provided some alternatives as well to consider with this issue.
All right, alternatives also include. First one is required orders for use require special. That one is required for occupancy of the present office. With 3 level only as commercial. Third option is rename the use category scratch deleting the word corner store and make the neighborhood. Commercial and mixed use building that provides a retail or service economic use. Within the residents of the neighborhood day to day each on the ground floor. Within the residential homes, for office use. And above maybe which is located on a ground board. Does not have to be located on the lot.
That would be a neighborhood business. That would have to be changed. Yep.
There's some option. They will have to be located on a quarter line. Section 405.12 L and 405.2 21.5.
So we want to vote on the first use and then vote on alternatives?
Well, they kind of all go together.
The vote could be just to remove it. And first of all,
Well, I think.
So are we voting on it, or are we, I mean, are we opting to also change it in the overall definition altogether as well?
I think we should vote the way we think you should be, but then even if the council doesn't agree with us, they have our vote for the alternatives.
So you're saying,
So what I'm saying is, vote
If
here.
we like the definition neighborhood business, to submit that to them instead of corner store for the rest of the transit. But what do we want to do with it?
Well, I'm saying, vote here,
that's what this is.
and then go through the alternatives, so if the common council doesn't like the vote, they at least know what our alternatives were.
Okay, so they're gonna, you can vote either to remove this complete transaction or not, we got it's up to you. And then go to the what the definition should be. Okay.
That's what I'm suggesting. That's what everybody else started to suggest.
Okay. All right, so. Corner stores,
Robert Dick.
Well, do you want to look at all the alternatives or just the definition?
I'm gonna go down the list.
Talk about neighborhood store, neighborhood.
I like very neighbors, have something, this is code right now. Are these gonna be all these alternatives we're going
Yes.
Okay, so under this. More use.
Robert Dick is.
Andrew Harris, no. Sage Newkirk, yes.
We require all the occupancy of
Robert Jacobson, no. Yes.
Vince Archer, no.
Vince, I'm sorry, Vince? Yeah?
No.
No, okay.
And sorry, well, yeah,
Andrew Harris, no.
Sage Newkirk, no.
Chuck Palafo, no.
wait, no. The third one is removing these category from water to door.
Vince Archer, no.
Andrew Harris, yes.
Sage Newkirk, yes.
Chuck Palafo, yes.
Well, there is not a definition. We need all more. Details from the a neighborhood distance does not have to be located at the corner lot. See section 405.12L and 405.21 F. Wayne Glad is a yes.
Robert Jacobson, yes. Matt Gillis, yes.
That country is going to.
Is it no?
No.
Andrew Harris, yes.
Sage Newkirk, yes.
Chuck Palafo, yes.
Okay, and we have other. So, extend shop front district along Macon Park in front of Hudson Valley Lane. And the rest is along the east train. That.
Yes. Matt Gillis, yes.
Vince Archer, yes.
Andrew Harris, yes.
Sage Newkirk, yes.
Chuck Palafo, yes.
Anybody else have any other issues or questions? Any other? Anything else we do with the rest of the code that we haven't discussed here? So, we have, what do we have here now? We got.
Review recommendation. Yeah. Based on.
Yeah, so the recommendation moving forward to the council.
Yep.
And I want to also say that, a lot of effort put into this, not just by board members, but, staff put a lot of time into this thing. And I put a lot of time into this thing as well. And, you have board members that are alternates here, and I want to make it clear that even though their vote may not be part of the package that goes along to the county council, your opinions and thoughts and how you craft it means a lot to me, the board, and I just want to let you know that I want to appreciate it. So that doesn't really work. Anyway, thank you everybody for the time and the number of workshops we attended. And so, everything else? Okay. Second by Dr. Jacobson, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Is this like a
I need to stop it, yeah.
Oh, no.
Ever?